Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam. Joining me tonight, Leon, Naota, Daniel Lim, and a founding father of the coalition. He would walk straight past his neighbour even if he became number one at flyweight. It's MV Chu. What's happening, Chu?
What's happening, my boy? How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's good to have you back on. It's been a minute.
Let's talk boxing.
Yeah, man. You're breaking up a bit, but we'll just carry on and see how it gets on. Chu, we've had to become the cherry-picking coalition now. Owed to good old Danny Garcia, because obviously we're only on once a month. We're going to have to pick and choose the better fights of the past 4 weeks. So I guess the place to start is the cruiserweights. We had both semi-finals of the World Boxing Super Series. And both fights were excellent in my opinion and most people's opinions who I follow on Twitter and guys that I'm close with. So Chu, I know you managed to catch the fights we discussed yesterday, and you want to give us your take on the Usyk versus Mario Spraders fight?
Alright, man. First of all, let me just say, if my line gets crap, just tell me and I'll hang up and reconnect. So I've seen that fight. I'm not going to lie, I've not seen loads of Usyk. He seems to be the kind of hipster's choice at the minute, the trendy boxing fans' choice. A lot of hype around him. First of all, I've got to say, I'm not that impressed by him.
Wait, Chu, you were the founder of Loma-sexuality, bro, and a lot of people consider Usyk to be a big invasion of Loma.
No, no chance. He kind of reminds me of Joe Calzaghe a little bit. I know he's southpaw, but he's just he conserves energy. I don't see him kind of sitting down on many shots. The first 3 rounds I gave to Bredis, I thought he was making Bredis look like Juan Manuel Marquez, or maybe Bredis was just making himself look like that good. You know, first round Bredis was coming out like nice left hooks to the body, and Usyk was just kind of one pace. It's like I told you in the WhatsApp chat when we were talking, Cam. Usyk in this fight was like a human hunter-gatherer for back in the day, stalking his prey, stalking a deer. You know, they can't catch the deer, so they just follow the deer miles and miles and miles until the deer has a heart attack just from exhaustion, because obviously deers can't sweat. That's what they do, they just have a heart attack, and that's what I thought happened in this fight. I thought Bredis started off well. I thought after maybe the first 3 rounds, the pace dropped for him a lot. You know, and Usyk was just steady, very straight punches, very technical, but it wasn't like winging anything. And maybe I gave Bredis the 7th, but I definitely gave Usyk the last 2. I had him winning a comfortable decision. It was a good fight. I'm not that impressed by Usyk, I've got to be honest, and I think Gassiev would probably beat him in the final.
I didn't know that days don't sweat, man. I'm kind of got some knowledge today, too.
There you go, man.
Most animals with fur don't sweat.
Something I learnt today. Naota, what did you think of? You're not the biggest Usyk fan either. What did you think of the semi-final?
Well, I mean, I kind of echo Chu's sentiments in large part. I actually had Bredis winning. I know that's no surprise to you, Cam, because we talked about it. But I just thought that he was just too accurate throughout the entire fight, and even though I think a lot of people were seeing Usyk kind of, quote unquote, taking over the fight around the 4th and the 5th round, I think in a way a lot of people were kind of seeing what they expected and or seeing what they wanted to see as opposed to seeing what was actually happening. Because even though he was starting to come on a lot more so, Bredis was still giving him a fair bit of resistance throughout the entirety of the fight. I mean, he was still landing really precise, really accurately in the mid and the late rounds. Especially in the late rounds, because I did think that Bredis was starting to tire out in the mid rounds, and that's when Usyk started to get his engine kind of going and started to potentially leave Bredis behind in the dust. But Bredis was able to kind of keep pace with him to a certain degree, and he was still landing really, really just nice, accurate shots, that right hand up the middle and everything. But I mean, I don't argue necessarily with anybody who did have Usyk winning. To me, it was a close kind of either way type of fight.
Hi guys, sorry about that. We are back. technical issue with Mixler. It might go out again, so the people in Mixler, I apologise if it cuts out. We have set up a second recording, so we will have a podcast to put out tomorrow. So, Naota, I did cut you off because of that issue, so if you want to continue, you're kind of just talking about your thoughts on Usyk and Bradis.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly where it cut off, but basically I thought that Brady's did win the fight. I scored it for him 7 rounds to 5 over Usyk. But I don't necessarily argue with people that had Usyk winning the fight, because I think what played a role there is just the fact that he's more used to fighting at a high pace than Brady is. So he was able to keep up that high pace throughout the entirety of the fight. Whereas Brady's appeared to start to gas out in the mid-round, kind of caught a second wind towards the end, and even then it was very tit for tat the last 4 or 5 rounds. It was very much kind of, one guy gets a good shot, a couple of good shots off, the other guy gets a couple of good shots off. So it's really a toss-up as to who you might want to score those rounds for. It's a toss-up as to who you judge as actually really scoring the clean, effective blows, the more well-scoring blows. But all that said, I think that Brady's right now, what he should do is go after Lebedev, snatch up that belt, knock Lebedev out of the rankings, because Lebedev is the very definition, the living definition of a paper champion at the moment. I'm not sure if Gassiev would necessarily defeat Usyk, so I think it'd be entirely likely that Brady, should he do what I was suggesting he'd do, could get a rematch with Usyk after the tournament's all said and done. Failing that, at the very least, he could get a shot at Gassiev, and then he could beat the man who beat the guy that beat him. Triangle theories being what they are. But either way, I think that's what he should do.
Naota, when I was watching the broadcast, the commentator for the UK, Ronald McIntosh, he mentioned that Lebedev had gone into champion and recess or something because they wanted to eliminate the regular title, because they wouldn't let them go ahead and make it unification if there was a regular champion. So as far as I know, there is no regular at the moment.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Fair enough then. I wouldn't mind seeing him at the very least fight the guy just because he's another big name. He's another guy that people are very well informed about at the cruiserweight division. You know what I mean? Because it's just to stay busy at the very least, get a good win on his record, and maybe potentially fight the winner regardless of what happens with the finals and everything. But he's a damn good fighter, and I hope that he doesn't just kind of go away in the shadows, considering the fact that cruiserweight isn't necessarily a highly touted or highly paid attention to division outside of this tournament. But I'm looking forward to Usyk versus Gassiev. I think I give credit to Brady's more so than anybody for making that fight a lot more tantalizing, because I did feel like before that Usyk was just going to be too quick and too agile for all these guys and be able to kind of almost pull like a Arislandi Lar and stink out the fights and win by a decision against everybody else. But now I think he showed some of the kinks in his armor, and it showed that he's a little bit vulnerable, especially to straight shots up the middle. So we'll see if Gassiev has what it takes to exploit that a little bit. But I do still favor Usyk in the finals. I think that it's not so much that he's this great overwhelmingly optimal fighter above all others. There's weaknesses there, but it's really just a matter of can these fighters exploit those weaknesses? And I'm not sure if they can do so enough to actually win the fights.
Leon, what do you think of Bradis versus Usyk?
It was okay. Everyone said it was this fucking great fight, but it was reasonably enjoyable. But it didn't have a patch on the fight that came the next week. Personally, I much preferred it. I've seen Bradis get a heap of praise. He's proven himself to be an elite level fighter, and yeah, he did well in that fight. And to be fair, he hurt Usyk a couple of times, to the body, I thought. But yeah, I was never sold on Usyk. Obviously, he's a highly talented guy. There's no doubt about that. He's extraordinarily talented, and he did well in that fight. I think he did well to come back into it and take over. I scored it to him, but out of the 4 people, I think Gassiev looked the best by a country mile. Skill-wise, punch. He's the guy. I think he's the guy to beat. He was the most impressive out of all 4 of them. I think. I was shocked how good he was, because even less sold on him.
Yeah.
I thought his performance was spectacular, really.
No, I echo that sentiment about Gassiev. We'll get to that in a minute, but
yeah. But going back to it, I think Usyk has maybe a little bit deceptive power. Like I think this kind of slap boxing thing that he gets tarnished with is a bit harsh, because I think there's some method in his madness. I think, 4 shots and there's one of them's going to have some sting on it. Whether or not he's got enough punching power to hurt Gassiev, I don't think he does. He has to outskill him. He has to outwork him and win on points, because Gassiev wasn't hurt for a second in that fight. And so I see Usyk having lots of problems with Gassiev, because I think, I'm going off the main fight, that Bradis fight a bit, sorry. Bradis did very, very well. I think people overrate him. He was a bit basic, but he's got skills, but I don't know. Like, people were trying to say that he walked through the Cuban. I'm not sure. Like, that Cuban's got some scary power and a ridiculous chin. So I think that fight should be the undercard fight. They should make them be those two fight each other.
That would be
the World Cup, the playoffs.
That would be ideal.
The third, fourth playoff. They fucking
the losers bracket,
there should be no choice. There should be no choice in the matter. When they sign the contracts, there should be no choice in the matter. That fight should have been demanded. Whoever is third and fourth fight each other for all tournaments moving forward.
Get a shot at the winner of the final.
That should be it. Should definitely happen. Like, for Calla being this promoted, this guy who's getting all this praise. If that's not happening, that's a fucking massive oversight.
Yeah, but is that if they had a third place playoff, would that be for a title? Is it just for pride?
No, well, the winner would be...
No, it'd be to get the shot, because
yeah.
you've lost and your belt's gone, because the guy who's about to win the final's got all the belts. But
I'd like Tony Bellew to get a shot.
I'd like Tony Bellew to get shot. We'll come to him.
Two different types of shots.
Exactly.
I'd fancy Bellew.
Gassiev he might kill him.
I don't think so. I think one thing I've noticed just to how you give your opinion, Cam. One thing I noticed is Usyk is sizably bigger than the other three. It's like there's almost as if there's two different weight classes. There's such a big scope in the cruiserweight division. You've got your smaller cruiserweights and you've got your bigger cruiserweights. I think Usyk is kind of pushing heavyweight, whereas the other guys are just cruiserweights.
Then that's not true. Gassiev kills himself to make cruiserweight.
But he's kind of like a small, kind of 6 foot Povetkin, probably steroid abuser. He looks like a little kind of stocky guy. And look at all these Russian athletes.
He is the fuck. I'll tell you what, Gassiev. Do you know what?
Considering the relationship between Ukraine and Russia, you could very well make such complaints about Usyk as well. Technically,
I'll tell you what I felt after watching that Gassiev fight. He's the fighter Canelo wished he was. That's how I've left. That's how good I thought he was. Canelo wishes he was like him.
Yeah. To choose point though,
honestly, I think Golovkin could say that too.
Yeah, we've got better head movement than Golovkin.
Talking about Usyk's size and Dotikos was pretty big as well compared to Gassiev. When I saw him in the ring, I thought, shit, man, I don't know if it's bone density or just a wide frame, but Gassiev, it doesn't look like the biggest cruiserweight.
Well, he's compact. He's compact in that Miguel Cotto.
You see the fucking size of his neck?
He's dense. Yeah, he's dense and compact. You know what I mean? He's stocky.
Built like the proverbial brick house.
Yeah. His neck must weigh 9 stone.
Because even
just on its own.
Dorticos is kind of chubby. If you look around his midsection, he looks like he could, if he dieted properly,
he's not
maybe
body
he
beautiful.
Make light heavyweight if he wanted to drain himself really, really for sure.
I'd be pushing it, but
yeah.
Just to overall my opinion, past shows I've said I've never been the biggest fan of Bradis, especially after that Mike Perez fight, one of the worst fights I saw, just all the holding. But Leon, I'm going to be one of those people heaping praise on Bradis. I thought he performed a lot better. I thought his accuracy early on, his tempo was pretty high. He did fade, I think. He definitely did lose some of his pace in the second half of the fight. I only give him 4 rounds, and maybe I could give him 5, so it would make it like 7-5. But I don't really see how someone could have it a draw or have. You'd have to give every close round early on to Bradis to have that, because I think Usyk did take over in the second half of the fight. Maybe there was either the 11th or 12th, which I can maybe give to Bradis, but I thought it was a comfortable win for Usyk overall.
I kind of lean more towards you, and I don't like seeing like a guy dominate like that and not hurt someone. That's just personal taste. I don't feel like he was hurting it, and I think he touched Usyk's body and he felt it numerous times.
Yeah.
Like, and this is not me shitting on Usyk because I rate him. I think he's very, very, very good. I just rate Gassiev higher now because people are going fucking crazy. I've seen some Yanks going, oh, don't worry, Gassiev looked good, but he gets schooled by Usyk. It's
all these bitch ass fans that like because Usyk trains with Lomachenko Senior and
I don't give a shit about that shit. I don't give a shit about
God,
that stuff.
Lomachenko,
I don't give a shit about that stuff.
He's Lomachenko's little brother, so if he wins that makes Lomachenko
fuck off with that shit. I don't care about that fucking your weird Lomachenko hatred. I'm not in the fucking mood.
No. I'm not trying to say that.
I nearly tried to take Cam's head off a second ago for no reason. Lost my temper.
I'm not saying that to rebut you. Leon, I'm saying that's where that comes from. The people that are like saying that, like, don't worry about that. Usyk will just handle him. It's because he's a fucking weirdo. But
they're comfortably outboxing him. I just don't see it. I saw Gassiev. Gassiev was the only one who completed a game plan in the whole fight. Out of all those 2 fights, he's the only one who fought and stuck to a game plan. No one else did.
The advantage that Usyk has, though, is the one that I kind of thought that he would have over Gassiev is just, over Bradis is the fact that he's just so agile. He's able to keep a high pace. He's very well conditioned. It's really the physical aspects of Usyk more so than the technical ones where he has an advantage over Gassiev. But it's really a matter of if Gassiev can cut off the ring. He is, pretty hard cutting off the ring and everything. The only thing is he needs to start faster against Usyk than he did against Ortikos because Usyk is not going to get tired of it.
No. He was happy to let that happen. That's what I saw. He was okay with that.
Yeah, I thought that was the game plan. Let him kind of.
He was happy with it. Let him come because
that's what he said the game plan was. So you might be right.
That counter right was there was a couple times that Cuban threw a lazy jab, and there was I think one in the third or fourth, and he nailed him with an overhand right, and I was like, fuck. I mean, this guy looks really good. Compact, kept his shape, moved back, happy to take stuff on the gloves. I thought it's like, yeah, come, and I'll get you. And that left and then dropping it back into the hook into an uppercut I think Usyk struggles with all of that. Because what happens if Usyk has to push on to Gassiev? I think Gassiev is happy to do that.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you. Like if and when they have their moments on the inside and they're trading, I think Gassiev is going to win those exchanges. It's a matter of if he can make sure that those exchanges happen. Because if it's more like a jab and run routine from Usyk, I think he may start to fall behind a little bit in terms of.
But what if he doesn't? What if he doesn't engage? What if he doesn't engage? What if he just he moves back and makes him come?
Yeah, I mean, if he pulls him into that trap, if he pulls him into that trap, he could definitely counter him to death, just like Brady's did in large part.
All right, let me jump in quickly, Leon. Just answer it quickly, please. You said that you thought that Gassiev was the only one that pulled off his game plan. Didn't you think Usyk did? And if not, why?
Because he was getting caught on the ropes and hurt to the body.
That's different from not completing you. Guys can hurt you, man. I did not
Gassiev didn't get hurt.
I did not like the way that he kept, referring to Kenny Bayless. Oh yeah, that was low, tapping my shorts. That was low. Lomachenko's kind of been guilty of doing that ever since after that Salido fight. So I didn't really like that. I think you said that he was complaining after the fight as well.
That's just good.
I was maybe trolling a bit hard with that, but I just felt like Bradis imposed himself on Usyk more than the Cuban, because I can't pronounce that name, ever imposed himself on
Gassiev. All right, you kind of moved us into Gassiev versus Dorticos.
Obsessed, sorry.
Is it the first time you saw both guys, and what did you think of the second semi-final?
Yeah, Doritos. I'll just call them Doritos. Gassiev.
Doritos and Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, both smaller than Usyk, but I thought both the Cuban and Gassiev showed a higher IQ in there. Maybe I'm being really harsh on Usyk, but Gassiev was just like, he was catching every shot with his defence, he was rolling with everything, he was just like, his hand positions, like, he can block up high, he's blocking up low, he's blocking with his elbows when the Doritos tried to attack with the body. It was almost as if you had that 1 second to see the shot coming before it landed. It was not quite the Matrix, but he was like right in front of the guy, making him miss, whether it's by blocking or slipping and countering. And as the fight in the middle rounds, I thought Doritos was starting to do a little bit better, but, you know, just the kind of rolls that Gassiev was doing, he was just really not using much energy. It was just natural. It was like a flow state. It was like his mind thinks it, and then physically he was producing it. It was just like total oneness of what he was doing. And that's the first time I've watched him, Cam, and I've got to say that I'm very impressed. I think if the final goes ahead, I think Usyk's in trouble, because I noticed against Bradis that he was very predictable, Usyk. He was going in for combos, maybe landing the first punch, and then Bradis kept dipping low, and then kind of coming back with like an uppercut kind of thing, and Usyk tried to turn these straight right into like a kind of uppercut thing, tried to adjust, but it was just weak. And I don't think Gassiev has got weak punches. I think it's just everything's kind of like got some venom on it. I think he just punches harder, even though he's probably a physically smaller guy. And I think Usyk's in trouble. I've got to say this Doritos guy is pretty good as well. First time I've seen him. Nice pressure. He was just constantly trying to bring it.
Good chin as well, man. Obviously, he did get knocked out eventually, but he took some big shots.
Yeah, very durable, man. It's like, these are big guys as well, man. It's not as if it's bantamweights in there. These guys are fucking going hell for leather. I mean, all four guys, very fast. You know, these are like the fastest cruiserweights I've seen. You know, like the speed is like middleweight speed.
And just like, tempo and work rate as well, like.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember like Mormek back in the day, and like Hay, and you know, these guys were fast, but they never had the volume. I was like, yeah, we'll have like a 10 punch for it, and then we'll take 2 minutes off. These guys were just 10 rounds at it, 12 rounds at it. I mean, there wasn't many breaks in the action. These guys weren't going breathers, and I think, I've got to say, the World Series of boxing's been superb. Absolutely superb. I wish boxing had done this sooner.
Yeah.
Every fight I've seen on it so far has been brilliant.
Yeah, I totally agree to that. But just quickly, my thoughts on it. I've been a bit of a Gassiev hater up to now. He did fight my boy Denis Lebedev, and I did think Lebedev nicked it. That particular fight, I've not watched it back since the day, but I just thought Gassiev was a kind of come forward plodder a bit. And yeah, I don't know, maybe I was just kind of, you know, when you just blind to the facts because you like the other guy, but I'm on the bandwagon. I don't know if you guys have caught up with some of the, you know, the behind the scenes shows that the boxing series have put out. If you go to their YouTube channel, everything's on there. They do like a program before the fight and then one called Next Day, and it's kind of build up of the weighing process and the actual fight itself and stuff after the fights. But I've watched both the semi-finals shows. So there was 4 altogether, 2 pre-shows and 2 post-shows, and definitely worth a watch, man. Like it, there's just little things that I personally enjoy. Like Gassiev, he'll walk into a room, he'll shake everybody's hands, he'll be very, you know, very nice to everyone. He just seems like a proper chilled out guy. His English is excellent. I think, you know, you look at Canelo, you look at other foreign kind of stars or guys that are on the way to being stars, and they never made the effort to, you know, learn English, and his English is excellent. And
sorry, Cam, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you see the bit where he went in and gave Doritos his belt back?
Yeah. Normally that does happen,
amazing.
and they get their belt in the post afterwards, because obviously the champ that brought the belt is theirs. But yeah, it was just a nice little thing that he did, and he went in there, and when he was going around his city, and he just seems like a proper humble guy. And I know that people love, like, especially Dan, who will probably join us later, but he loves like the Charlos and the guys that talk shit and blah blah blah. And that has a part in the sport. That's an important part of it. But I've always loved these kind of humble dudes that let their actual skills do the talking. And just to choose point as well, technically in the fight, he's just got this explosiveness, but he does it in great combination, and he does it with accuracy as well. Like there was a combination, I think, that was I think it was the 11th when Dorticos hung on to him like he was mama. I think he threw like a 1-2, a left uppercut, and then a sweeping right hand just across Dorticos' face and hurt him. And it just came out of nothing, and it was just a quick 4-punch combination, and it just changed the whole direction of the way the round was going, man. And I loved that. And then the hooks to body, the uppercut off the same hand, man. It's just technically right. And to your point, Leon, and to Chu's point earlier, the guard as well, like, he's just got a really easy going, on guard position. Like, I don't want to call it loose, because that might give the intention that there's a big gap in it where, someone can go straight down, but it's very fluid, man. He'll just catch a punch here, catch a punch there, like Mr. Miyagi's catching flies with chopsticks, man, and then he'll just throw like 2 hook combinations with like full strength right to the body, and oh man, the guy's devastating, and I am truly a fan now, man. I feel a bit late jumping onto the back of the bandwagon, but fuck it, man, I have to.
But I don't feel he showed, like, I think it's fine to jump on it now, because I don't feel he showed us all this until now.
He might be one of those guys where, there's that old adage about, like, a fighter becomes better when they become a champion. That might actually apply to him. He might be a really good example of that, because he showed major improvements against those people in the past.
I know this is a very unpopular thought in the world of boxing, but maybe a couple of fights how many fights have you been with Abel Sanchez now?
I'm not
loads,
sure,
is it?
I'm not sure.
I think it's maybe 3 or 4. Maybe it's all coming together. But
yeah,
I mean, I've already said how impressed I was with him. But I thought the Cuban guy, he's good, right? And he's got a ridiculous chin and good power. But I thought he was it was all a bit telegraphed after a while. It was a bit rinse and repeat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit
straight punches.
He didn't have a change-up. He didn't have a change in gear or a change in style where it's like, okay,
straight
now
punches,
this isn't working, now I gotta
straight
do
punches,
that.
yeah.
It wasn't
like,
as
the
if
straight punches aren't working, maybe I should
wrong,
come underneath or something.
Sorry, Chi, what did you say?
Sorry, go ahead, Chi.
It wasn't as if he was doing much wrong, though. He was cutting off the ring well.
No, see, I thought Gassiev was getting out of there way too easy.
But I mean, he was still winning those early rounds, though. Even still,
no,
Gassiev. I did. I mean, I thought that he was. I thought, and even the judges. If you look at the official scorecards,
I give a fuck about judges' scorecards.
It was either way, all the way up until Gassiev started knocking his block off and dropping.
Which is mental. I think it's mental. Like, he should have been 2 or 3 up, Gassiev. I thought.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you give him 2 or 3 rounds. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I did think that Gassiev was up in the end, towards the end, but go ahead, Chief.
Sorry, I thought he was working hard to trap Gassiev in the corner. Then he would work hard, and then he would just let him out. I was like, what?
Yeah, Gassiev did kind of escape to his left a bit too easily for my liking. I would have liked, Dorticos to kind of step across and just like make it harder for him, man.
That's what I mean. He became a bit basic. Not basic, but repeat, like the same trick.
Yeah.
Trick. I'll keep doing this. It's gonna work. Because that's a puncher. Like, isn't that the curse of the puncher often,
Yeah. I mean, like, I've in the past compared him to like being like a harder punching version of Sullivan Barrera, and in a way he kind of resembles that, especially, the version of Barrera that fought against Ward. Where it's like he was just doing the same thing over and over again, even when it didn't work. It remains to be seen. He's another fighter that's only kind of barely came onto the scene in terms of fighting like elite level opposition. I mean, if you watch his fight with Yuri Kalengo, who was really the first kind of top level type guy that he fought, which was only a year and a half ago or so. He got hurt multiple times in that fight. It was a fight of the year candidate. So he's kind of still.
He's lucky to get out of that fight.
Yeah.
I think some of these Cuban fighters are just so well trained that they lack imagination. It's almost as if they've got every kind of textbook punch down, but when it comes to the kind of creativity of Gassiev, they just don't have it.
Would you guys say that Doticus was like classic Cuban? I wouldn't. I thought he was a lot more aggressive and
Well, I'd say the Cuban school, quote unquote, it usually kind of it creates two different styles, two disparate styles. It creates a lot of kind of back foot heavy, slick fighters, and then it creates guys that are able to solve those styles as well. So, the guys that rise to the top, that are able to solve the more common kind of back foot defensive style, wind up becoming like the other guy, like your Gamboas and such, or the guy that beat Chris Stevenson.
Let's not get
in the final.
lost down a Cuban black hole, for God's sake.
Yeah.
It was nice to see one
example.
It was nice to see one with some fucking heart for once.
Oh,
I'll give him that.
Lastly, Eddie Claudio, man, like, I think you let that go on a bit too long. Like, that last kind of barrage of punches, I think he could have stepped in. What do you guys think?
Yeah, he could have done, but I always enjoy seeing someone get punched through the ropes. So,
honestly, I want to see everybody have every potential chance, especially when you hit as hard as Doticos does. So, give him every chance in the world.
All right. Anything else regarding these two semi-final fights? Nope. Okay. Just quickly before we move on, I know it's early, but we'll have time to discuss it in detail. But Leon, just right now, if you had to pick a winner, Usyk versus Gassiev, I know which way you're going to lean, but in your own words, Leon.
Sorry, my connection went weird. Am I there now?
Yeah, you're there. Who would you pick in the final, Usyk or Gassiev?
I'm going to ride Gassiev hard. He's going to knock him out in 4 rounds. Fuck it. I don't care.
I
don't know. That probably won't happen, but,
That sounded wrong. I might put that in the outro. I'm going to ride Gassiev hard. That's not... Ruth won't be happy if she hears
that. Fuck it, yeah.
Naota, who'd you pick in the final?
I got Usyk in like a 7-5 type, very close fight, and a fight where the Lomosexuals at large, 99% of them will have Usyk winning 11-1. But it's really a 7-5, 6-6 type fight.
Chu, what about you? The final in Jeddah in May. Who are you picking?
I just think Lomachenko, besides all these Ukrainians like Victor Postol and stuff, they're all just like kind of very similar. Like, and I've got Gassiev. I've got Gassiev in a no knockout, definitely no knockout, but a kind of close 12-round fight.
Interesting. All right, let's move on then. I'm going to list out some names of fights that happened over the last 4 weeks since we last did a show, and then I'll go around and you guys can pick a fight, and then we'll dissect it quickly then. So, since we were away, I got mad cow disease because I watched British Beef, Okoli versus Chamberlain. I'm pretty embarrassed that I picked Chamberlain so hard, but I didn't know how it was going to be such a horrible fight. What else did we have? Errol Spence versus Lamont Peterson, and on the undercard, Robert Easter versus Javier Fortuna. Neil, you're not allowed to comment on that fight. I'll put that in now. So, a week later we had Lucas Matisse versus Tiwa Kirim, and Jorge Linares versus Mesito Gesta. In February the 3rd we had Zerdo Ramirez fighting some just plucked out of nowhere Ghanaian dude, and Jerwin Akas versus Israel Gonzalez, and Daigo Higa fought Moses Fences with a terrible stoppage. And is there any other fights maybe that I've not mentioned? I think we're pretty good, because obviously we've talked about the cruiserweight fights. So Leon, pick a fight out of them and let's dissect it.
We'll do let's get that, because we can get this out of the way quickly. That fucking horrible cruiserweight fight on the same night. The British Beef thing. They're both fucking terrible.
British mad cow disease, as I said in the chat.
Yeah. No one wants to eat that hamburger. Look, they were shit. And I feel sorry for them because they shouldn't have been pushed forward onto the headline. Chamberlain froze in the lights, but also I thought he was getting jobbed anyway, because the knockdown wasn't a knockdown. He got points taken off. The other guy was fouling all the time. But he crumbled a bit. I think he's too small and he should be down a weight, personally. But I don't think that other guy does shit, man.
Yeah, I don't think
nothing. I don't think he gets like. Let's be honest, a Euro belt at cruiserweight.
I think
it'll be tough to win.
Look, we just talked about cruiserweight now, and Okoli would have to wait like 7 years for all of these guys to retire for him to find a space, and by then there's probably other big, strong cruiserweights as well. And he's tall, yes, but his frame and I think any big cruiserweight hits him, and I think he's going to get chinned. But
imagine, he'd be so easy to hit because he rushes forward so much that any good guy is going to just time him coming in, and you get timed by a cruiserweight, you're gone, aren't you?
I love how Smith and Bellew on commentary were alluding to the fact that Okoli would eventually end up in heavyweight. Yeah, he probably will because of his height, but he ain't going to do shit at heavyweight.
No. Bad fight, bad card, bad commentary, bad everything.
Chu, I don't know
bad.
Chu, did you see this? Lewis, did you watch this British Beef fight?
The Chamberlain fight? Nah, I didn't see it. So.
Neil, did you catch it?
You missed it all.
Nah. Once I heard how shit it was, and considering the fact that it was on at the same time as Usyk and Brady, so I was like, nah. I could do without that.
Yeah, I'll just quickly...
Cam, I watched it.
No, you didn't.
I swear to God, I watched it. It was in the background at a bar that I was at, so I watched it.
How many
That's
points?
not watching it.
How many points how many points got deducted then?
I forgot, but I know Okoli won a very boring decision.
Do we have? There's so many fights. Do we have time for this shit?
No, let's just move on. I don't even know why you're talking about this shit, man. We got
talking about you
and Reyes. I'm sorry, Leon. I just block out all the haters. I can't hear you from my position. Sorry, dog. But is that MTV2?
It's MTV2 in the flesh.
Higher than a motherfucker.
What's happening, Dan? Nice to have a good microphone with you this time.
I appreciate that, sir. I appreciate it very much.
What bar are you
let's just take
this time?
What? I'm sorry.
Are you in the bar this time? The bar.
The barn. Did you say the barn?
The bar.
Oh, the bar. No. I'm back in the States, unfortunately. But I did catch that bum-ass Sky card in Belfast. But, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you guys with your flow. I just wanted to say hi to MTV2. I mean, it's been a long time, and yeah, the Super Series has been awesome, man. I echo your sentiments, Drew. I wish boxing was like that with every weight division. That'd be pretty awesome, wouldn't it?
Before you go, Dan, how was Europe?
Oh, it was good, man, but I don't want to talk about myself, man. I want to talk about,
Be a narcissist. Go for it.
What you think? Nah, it's okay, man. I tried to get my James Joyce on The Travelers of an Artist, but it really didn't work out in the same way.
Mate, we've only got 300 fans. Who gives a fuck? Just say it.
Yeah, that is true. I remember our prime glory days. We used to have like 100 people in the chat listening to us live. Now we have, 6 maybe? 5? 4? It's grim days, unfortunately.
It's because of Mixer. It's dead technology. Right.
That is
now
true.
people will be catching us afterwards now.
Because in Nyota gets a lot of hate on the YouTube comments.
I know, man. What can we say? We have
let your haters be your motivators.
Who am I to say? I'm like a part-timer.
You're less than a part-timer.
Yeah, you're less than a part-timer. You're not even like
That's fucking generous.
You're semi-retired.
Floyd
Mayweather shit.
You're like Roy Jones, man. You just keep coming back every now and again.
I give them the tip. Just pull out.
Yeah.
It could be worse. It could be chemo.
Ooh.
No, actually, chemo.
He gets a big drum roll. Chemo special. It's coming like a month on Twitter.
I know. He's a narcissist, isn't he? Obsessed with himself. Hi, chemo.
Stop dissing my boy Chemo, yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street in Dubai right now.
Alright, let's bring it back. Lim, is there any fights you want to talk about that happened in the past month?
Yeah, the Garcia fight, like I said, the Super Series at Cruiserweight has been fantastic, and I've not been like a consistent viewer of that weight division, but it just shows you how really consistent boxing, what it does for even like a casual fan for myself. That's what it's all about. And like you guys mentioned, the fights have been really good. And not only that, but it's really exciting when you know exactly what the next course of action is going to be as a fan. So I'm really excited about that. And, Obviously, with the fight this Saturday with Groves Eubank, I can't wait for that as well. And again, these are weight divisions that I've never really followed really consistently or adamantly in the past, but I just love this setup. So I just wish they use this as a platform for future weight divisions, especially at welterweight, 154 and such.
No, I definitely echo that. And to your point about actually knowing what you're going to get, it's true, because now we'll get a big, I don't know, unification or just a big fight in boxing, and the next fight will be just a nobody fight where these guys fight a good guy, then they fight a better guy, and then they fight the other best guy. So, it's really good to see. But I apologize, Dan, but I do have to get this off my chest about the Okoli-Chamberlain fight. Steve Gray, I thought, was poor, deducting a point from Chamberlain in the second round after just a few maybe clinches, and most of the time it was Okoli kind of actually engaging in the clinch, and then takes it so early, and then for the rest of the fight, more or less until I think the 9th round when he took the second, took a second point, and the second one was actually off of Coley for his holding. But you let him do it throughout the majority of the fight, and then you take it off a guy after he did it after 2 rounds. It's pretty ridiculous, I thought. And yeah, Chamberlain seemed like I don't know if the first time he got hurt and he got dropped and he just took him out of his game plan and he wanted to kind of scrap. But Coley was terrible, man. He'd throw a punch, he'd grab hold, he'll push down. Both guys were just very scrappy, man. And yeah, props to Coley, because I did think that he'd get outboxed by Chamberlain, but it just seemed like Chamberlain just either had no plan or the plan went out the window after the first couple of rounds. So overall, disappointing fight.
Man, fuck those guys. Let's just praise Gassiev for how far along Gassiev is compared to Okoli and Chamberlain. Like, how old are Okoli and Chamberlain? Because I know Gassiev is 23, and Gassiev, I think, had around 30 amateur fights. And, I mean, he's already in this position right now, ready to fight for the fucking final eliminator or the championship, in that weight division. So
some guys are just
fuck these guys, and let's talk about guys like Gassiev. Fuck these, fuck these JD superstars, man, with their bum-ass jackets and bum-ass press conference. Man, it's a fucking joke.
Dan's
with the
I
YouTube
completely
titles.
agree.
Beef with like 7 exclamation marks. Raw, uncut.
Well, I mean,
These
hey,
guys,
Lawrence Okoli got knocked out in the amateurs by a Cuban, and Gassiev knocked one out as a pro. So.
Yo, Dan's just pissed off with JD now because he wanted to buy some running trainers, and then they were ridiculously expensive, and he thought, fuck that. So he's a JD hater now. So, all right, all the fights that I mentioned earlier. Then Neil, so you pick a fight. Spence Peterson, Easter Fortuna, Matisse, Linares.
Let's go Spence Peterson because I like going in chronological. If that was chronological, anyway. But Spence Peterson, good win for Spence, man. What did it pretty much how I thought he would do it. I mean, honestly, Peterson just the wrong type of style to be fighting against. Spence try to go in there, bully the guy. Bully a guy that's bigger, stronger, punches harder than you, and he got his ass whooped. I mean, I knew that Spence probably wouldn't do it as quickly as Matisse did, simply because he doesn't light the world up with single shots as much as Matisse does. He's more of kind of a grinding worker. But I thought people overblew how good of a win it was. People were saying oh my god, he reminded me of Sugar Ray Leonard, and he was doing so many things in there. He had a dude in front of him that was basically acting as a moving punching bag and not even moving that much. So he just beat the shit out of him.
What happened? His ass. What happened? So he fucking moves for 6 rounds against Danny Garcia and then doesn't do it against
That's what
Spence.
I was thinking, Leon. I thought the first half of the fight...
What was he doing? Because he nearly won. He should have won that fucking Garcia fight. And then he just does that.
Exactly. I was thinking the same.
Fight.
I was thinking the same thing because I thought the best thing to do is now maybe let Spence try and tire himself, make him miss and shit. But why are you going to stand there and fight on the inside with Spence? It was a crazy tactic.
It means not that fight. I thought it was a good fight. And I would have rated him for knocking him out. It means nothing to me. It's meaningless. His performance was so bad that it's just like beating a bum. Like beating a journeyman. His performance was that bad.
So you're calling Pearson a bum?
No, I'm saying he performed like a bum and performed like a journeyman on that night, and his performance was so bad that I don't give a shit about that win.
Chu, did you see it?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think Peterson's just like a smaller version of Spence. He brought a knife to a gunfight. I wasn't impressed by either fighter actually. This fight, it was a good win, but both fighters are just like going straight towards each other, no head movement. And obviously Peterson's gonna lose a fight like that. You know, he almost took him out in the 5th. He didn't learn his lesson. He should have got on his bike. He just went straight towards him again. Then he took him out in the 7th. Yeah, I just think Spence he should get called out a lot more. I think Keith Foreman would beat him. I don't know why Keith Foreman is running from him. Like, Keith Foreman gives him trouble with his lateral movement. Like, if you go straight towards Spence, you'll probably lose. I think Crawford could beat him. I think Foreman could beat him. Now, I've been high on Spence before, but I don't know, he just keeps fighting fights where he's meant to win. You know, the Brook win aside. But even then, Brook, you know, that wasn't the same Brook, you know, Triple G got to him. But that performance against Peterson makes Brook look better. You know, because Brook gave him so much trouble initially. I'm starting to think that maybe Spence has got a couple of chinks in his armour there. And I'd like to see Foreman test that.
I mean, his defense has never been great, but I think Peterson kind of exploited that in the first round and a half, especially. He landed a lot of those kind of snappy, like, ooh and ah type shots. He landed a lot of nice, just straight right hands up the middle, where you'd imagine if Thurman landed that's landing with a lot more force.
Furman. Furman needs to sort his shit out before anyone fucking starts mentioning his name again, talking about not fighting someone in the top 10 as his comeback fight and all this shit. He can get to fuck. He can stay at Bandcamp.
Lim,
I'm not in the mood for that shit.
Lim, what did you think of Spence's performance?
I think you guys are being a little bit harsh on Spence. While I agree with your guys' sentiments about Peterson fighting like an absolute bum, even though he isn't a bum. I think Spence, you're always going to be able to criticize Spence because he does fight in a very basic manner. But the fact is that he's so good at that basic style that I don't find many guys who will give him trouble at 47 except Crawford. So I think he beats Thurman quite handily. But no I chance. Could definitely see. No, absolutely not. I don't think Thurman is all that great at welterweight compared to a guy like Spence. I think he'll have success. I think he'll have success in the first half of the fight. Kind of like Kell Brook did, but I think Spence is going to overwhelm him in the later rounds. And also, I think you're giving a little bit too much credit about Thurman's effectiveness as a lateral movement type of fighter, a guy fighting on his back foot, as he showed against Porter and even Danny. He's not really effective on his back foot, so I think Spence can cut off the ring.
Porter was lighting him up.
He won those fights.
Porter was lighting him up at points in that fight.
He was.
Porter is a fucking American football player.
Yeah, but true, it was like a 7-5 type of fight, personally, for me. I scored it for Thurman, personally, but I just think Spence is so big at that weight class that I think he's going to overwhelm all of his opponents, unless you're especially talented, kind of like, what's his face, Crawford is.
Yeah, well, and I don't even think Crawford's as talented as a lot of people are acting like. I think that there's no way in hell that fight happens because Bob Arum knows that his Golden Goose Crawford will get fucking cooked by Spence if he fucking puts him in that fight. So that fight is a total non-starter. I'm not interested in anybody even talking about that fight because Crawford gets knocked the fuck out, so there's no way in hell that fight is happening.
I disagree, actually. I mean, I think Crawford has got more skills than Spence.
I think he has more skills than him, but Spence is a fighter where he's so big and powerful for the weight class. He's kind of fortunate that this isn't the welterweight division of Tito
Trinidad like cheating.
And Shane Mosley back in the day. You know, this is the welterweight division post Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, where it's you have all these kind of light welterweights and lightweights kind of invading it, and you know they just can't compete on a physical level with him, even if they can on the technical.
But I kind of like what Spence showed in that 7th round, even though it was against a Peterson that was completely out. He did show a little bit of more of a herky-jerky type of style. So I do think he has a little bit more that he can prove. And I think we forget the fact that he's so young. I think he's 27 years old. His only step-up fight really has been Kell Brook. So I still think he has a ton to prove at that weight division. But at the same time, I really don't see him fighting at that weight division for long. I don't know how he makes 147 as it is right now.
Yeah, I'm happy that he won to fight 3 times this year. I'm sure he said that.
I mean,
he should be fighting more often.
youth and the fact that he's used to making it. You know, it's
That's
almost
what
like
it
Canelo
is.
when
Youth.
he was able, it's
Yep.
like Canelo when he was able to make 151 and 152 and all that crazy shit. But
Right. I agree.
Or he's roiding
So-
off his tits.
Right. I mean, literally, look at his tits.
Yeah, exactly.
They're fucking massive.
Absolutely. He
His
is fucking
tits are like
full of
teacups.
needles.
You could get a ringside girl gig.
I know. If he just had a wig on, he'd be a perfect knockout
Oh
10.
my.
But,
Those positions are no longer available, Chew, so.
yeah, no, but let's just shit on Thurman collectively. I can't believe this guy's turned into such a
Collectively.
cuck. Yeah, I mean, have you heard what he's said recently, Chew? I mean, you compare him to the guy that he was 2-3 years ago when he wanted, quote unquote,
burn
fight
money.
everybody and take over I burn money, I take over the division. What the fuck happened to that version of Thurman?
He got
And
married,
then
bro.
his excuse of not fighting Spence in the past was that he was not rated high enough or he didn't put in his work. Now he's the number 2 guy in that weight division.
With a belt.
And you want to fight
Well-
with a belt and you want to fight a guy that's not even in the top 10 in a comeback fight and then defend
hey.
both of your
Well,
mandatories.
hey,
like,
the Angel,
oh, man.
I think Angel Garcia said it best. Danny broke his elbow, so like Thurman's not going to be the same after that.
Yeah, Thurman's
So,
dead to me.
I agree. It's like he should be fighting more often, and it's quite insulting to the boxing public to come back and fight someone like that. But he's still got the best resume in 147. So, I mean, the resume doesn't lie.
I understand he has a best resume, but I think Spence has a more impressive performances within those fights. So to me, they kind of balance out. And I don't, I mean, would you say that Thurman is a better fighter than Spence, despite
I mean,
his
Leon
resume?
just said it. I mean, Pearson fought like a bum. And
Yeah, but
the
I'm putting
against
the
the one-eyed
Kell
Kell Brook. So,
Yeah, but he,
Yep, Kell Brook's made of quits. He's made of quits. He can only write the letter Q. That's the only letter he knows how to write.
yeah. That's harsh as fuck, man.
but the thing
not
was,
in a good mood.
on
I'm not
the
in a
flip
good
side,
mood.
with
He fought the
Thurman,
Olympic, for fuck's sake.
I mean, despite his resume,
quit.
he's looked so average against his 2 biggest fights at that weight division.
Yeah, and let's be frank too. I mean, like his
Danny's a
his
junior
resume,
welter.
his resume, the best one on his record is Sean Porter. Best one on Spence's record is Kell Brook. Brook beat Porter.
I mean, I don't even want to use triangle theories, but I just think Nazi, you're right in the sense that sure, Thurman has one additional name that Spence doesn't have in Danny Garcia, but to me, Danny Garcia had his best days at 140, so they're kind of like, it's kind of
and
in between.
arguably lost to Lamont Peterson, who Spence also destroyed.
Not again.
Not
That's
arguably,
okay.
he lost that fight.
I don't know. I just want to see that fight, man. If it's not him and Thurman, or if it's not him versus what's his face, Crawford, I don't know who else he fights at that weight division.
Just because fighter A beats fighter B doesn't mean he beats fighter C.
Yeah, but this isn't even just fighter A, fighter B. This is adding fighter D and fighter E
Exactly.
and fighter F.
This is an octagon.
Leonard Bundy went 12 rounds and got knocked. Fucking Spence is destroying the same
Yeah.
caliber of fighter.
You guys
as
don't know
Thurman,
maths.
destroying them,
You don't.
destroying the same caliber of
I'm
fighter
just-
that Thurman's going to 12 rounds with.
Yeah, I'm just
I forgot he
confused.
went 12 rounds with him.
Yeah, I just want to see them fight. That's all. That's all.
Was
I
that the
pick-
fight?
I pick
Was
Bundu.
was that the fight where
Cam,
Thurman
you
just
got-
turned
Cam.
southpaw and just fought southpaw the whole fight?
Cam, who you got? Furman or Spence?
You know what? Initially, I was pretty high on Spence, man, but since like Dan continuously throws a comment I made down my throat continuously, I started to make me hate Spence a bit. But
Why? Because of Lubin?
That's what I was
okay,
gonna say.
let me just finish what I'm saying, Dan, before you start talking about.
No,
my boy
because you
Everton
didn't.
Lubin.
No. I'm not trying to shit on you. Actually, I'm just trying to clarify that
Bollocks.
for the listening public. Because you said a certain guy, and probably the people who listen to us don't know exactly who you're referring to. That's all. I was just trying to clarify the situation.
Yes, I did say that I thought Lubin was a better version of Errol Spence. But not seriously, all jokes aside, I do think Spence is really effective at what he does, but he is quite basic. Like when he's standing in there, he throws a right hook to the body or to the head, then his hand comes down to his waist, like he doesn't bring it back up, and he is open to shots. And I don't know, I think I am upset with the way Keith has kind of become this diva. But in a fight, I would probably favour Keith slightly.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
Well, you guys should bet on it because I guarantee he's going to be a pretty big underdog in that fight.
We'll see when it happens. Lynn might be a couple of years away.
I'm saying from a betting perspective, he'll be an underdog. So you guys should put your money where your mouth is.
We'll see. Anything else regarding Spence, Thurman? Anything else you guys want to burn?
No,
Nope.
man.
All right,
Let's move on.
Quickly want to talk about the fight on the 27th in Inglewood last month. Matisse. I was disappointed with his performance. I thought he looked quite flat against Kirim. His timing was off a bit. His accuracy was off. Obviously, Kirim was decent with the jab, kind of shooting in his face and then moving. He wasn't
Kirim
running.
was schooling it, man. He won every round of that fight.
No, he didn't win every
Until he
round.
got knocked out.
Is that true, guys? I actually didn't watch this fight. Was Kieran running all 8 rounds?
That's a big caveat.
Just about.
Nah,
Oh, wow.
I think it was, I didn't officially score
I
it.
thought Matisse won the second, but other than that, he just got jabbed to death.
Yeah, I think he gave him like 2-3, but like the ones
Wow.
the ones that Matisse won, like they weren't like obvious rounds. Like,
Well,
he
and
was-
here's the thing, Lem. He was beat him so easily that people thought that he took a dive at the end. That
He
he
did
just
take a
that
I
dive.
he
know.
just-
I did catch that part at the end, yeah.
I
Did
didn't
you
watch
see
the
the
fight.
punch?
I didn't watch the fight, but I heard. I
jab.
know Matisse was
Yeah.
shit.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like accusing people of cheating like that, but it looks about as suspect gets.
But why would he
Right.
why would he take a dive though? Like he bet on himself to lose, and he thought, oh shit, man, I better fucking jump on the floor.
Yep, exactly. He was probably in 8th round. His coach was like, "You remember, Kieran, you're supposed to fucking lose, man. Why are you winning every goddamn round?"
Or just get knocked out by a jab. Delayed reaction. Yeah, that delayed reaction was a bit suspect though. Thinking about it now,
Yeah.
that was
I did
suspect
see
as
that.
fuck.
Yeah,
But
it was strange.
they're talking about him and Manny next. Like, I don't know, man. Like these guys,
That's terrible.
it's not a good fight, man.
I mean, it's better than Danny versus Rios, though.
It is. I agree with you there, Nauta, but it's more depressing though. And this from the sense that these guys are so far from their primes. You know, Matisse, say what you want about Danny,
They
but
both
Danny did
regressed.
snatch his soul. Danny took his soul, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is,
He has it in a little jar.
and the thing is, I think Danny versus Rios is a bum fight, but it's on Showtime. Like Matisse versus Pacquiao would be ESPN now, wouldn't it?
It'd be an ESPN pay-per-view. They're talking about
I mean,
on the
I
undercard
wouldn't
of
mind Matisse
Lawrence
versus
Crawford.
Pacquiao, if only for the fact that you know what you're getting there. It's a style matchup that guarantees explosiveness. I mean, Matisse can still punch, and so can Pacquiao. So I mean, you're gonna
But-
get a knockout either way. Most likely,
I wouldn't
for
mind that
Pacquiao,
fight.
but
I don't know if Lucas just looked past Kirim and thought, oh, this is this easy dude, I'll get past him, because
I mean,
In
and if it wasn't a dive, then it just shows that Matisse hits really fucking hard. You know, like when he put what's his name to sleep, Mike Dallas.
Peterson? Oh yeah, Mike Dallas. Dude, Matisse was a fucking beast at 140. That counter pull
So,
right hand.
He put him to sleep so bad they were accusing him of
Not many
fucking
people
taking
can do
drugs,
that.
and then it turns out that Peterson is the one with the power pellets in his fucking underarm.
He hits him so hard that the punch knocks him out on the way back to the hotel. Like, that's delayed reaction, man.
Alright, guys, any other fights that occurred that you want to talk about? If not, we'll just get into an issue that Leon has on his chest.
No, I think Linares obviously has no power. He's a good fighter, but I just want to see Linares versus Lomachenko. Let's get that happen.
He's got no power.
Yeah, Linares has absolutely no power. Yeah, that's pretty much confirmed. Please tell me otherwise. What makes you think that he would have any power?
Well, who has stopped Mercito Hesta?
I mean, he stopped Kevin Mitchell.
I mean, who has Mercito has to fight? But anyways, I'll let Leon burn because he seems pretty tired over there. So I'll let him get his
Oh no,
get
sorry,
all that shit off his
mute
chest.
myself.
No, it's all good, man.
I don't think Linares has no power, but I mean, I do think that he is a bit of a slapper. He's a bit of a slap boxer, as Kimo likes to say. So it's like he doesn't really put on everything onto every shot. He can snap a little bit, but like I'd say, like the power kind of fades a bit in the second half as the speed starts to fade a little bit. And you know, his head will kind of get in the clouds a little bit too, because it's almost like it comes so easy. I think boxing is one of those things where it comes so easy to him. He gets a little bit disinterested in there, and he lets his opponent back into the fight when he really shouldn't.
Right. To the point where they stop him sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Leon.
But
let's talk about these.
I think him versus Lomachenko is a good fight, though. You know, it's a good fight.
I do as well. The floor is yours.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Are we sure? Have we finished with everything, Cam? All the fights?
Yes, mate.
At the moment.
No.
Why? What do you talk about?
Go on then. He wants to talk about something. What is it?
No flyweights.
Well, I wasn't sure what fight we were going to move on to next to, or if Leon was going to talk about Linares versus Hester.
Leon has to talk about Leonaris has to talk about a different type of issue.
Leonaris, that's a good name.
Yeah, Leonaris.
I'll take that.
What a name. Well, well, since I'm pretty sure it was only me and Cam that saw it, what did you think about Higa and Fuentes, Cam?
I saw it.
What did you think, Leon? Since we're going to Leonaris, let's go.
He's an evil little beast, isn't he? He's very good.
Man.
Yeah, that's all there is to say, really. He just did a number on him, yeah.
I mean, I didn't like the stoppage.
That guy's a bit past it, maybe. Yeah, neither did I particularly, but,
he spit out his mouthpiece, too.
Yeah, but it was like he counted to 8, and he's like, okay, I'm calling it off because you spit your mouth. Deduct a point afterwards if you think that he blatantly did it, but you can't.
He saved him. He thought you were going to get your fucking shit pushed in and saved him.
Possibly, but I think it's too early. I think Fuentes' team have actually put in a complaint as well to get it overruled, but it was a very poor stoppage, I thought.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
but he's still
I
a beast.
didn't like the stoppage, I come from the Steve Smoger rule of if he's breathing, he can still fight. But,
exactly.
Yeah, him spitting out his mouthpiece and getting up at the count of 9 is, it's kind of a bad thing to be telling the ref. It's almost like saying I really don't want it anymore, but I'm gonna kind of go through the motions of acting like I do.
Was that a British ref? Was that a British ref? It smelled like a British ref.
I don't know. I've seen that guy a few times in world title fights.
Yeah, but it felt very British, didn't it? Like a bit of a British stoppage.
Yeah, a little bit.
Something like Ian John Lewis would do.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he goes a monster, man. He's the guy, the single guy that I don't pick anybody against at flyweight. I mean, save Gonzalez moving back down to flyweight. But otherwise, and even maybe including him, I mean, he just hits so fucking hard. And kind of like the same things that we were talking about Gassiev earlier can be attributed to him, where it's like he has that kind of Canelo / Golovkin style, but he shows it. The things that people bloviate about with regards to Golovkin and Canelo, he actually does it.
And he loves the uppercut as well.
What'd you say?
And he loves the uppercut.
Yeah, the very bad cut. And, yeah, man, took out Fuentes, quicker than Donnie Nietes did, quicker than Kosei Tanaka did, in much more savage fashion than either of them did. It's kind of a shame because Fuentes he did land a couple of good shots here and there. He's a fast starter as well. But, I think ultimately he was gonna wind up knocking him out anyway. And if they wind up getting a decision ruled in their favor, I think Fuentes will go out on the shield, just like he, I guess, hoped for in the first place.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he was a beast.
Leon,
that's why he has 100% knockout ratio.
Yeah,
and,
15
but supposedly flyweights can't punch though.
Did he equal
100% knockout ratio, but flyweights can't punch?
I think he equals some Japanese record as well, like 15 out of 15 knockouts. But Leon, just to answer your question, the ref was a Canadian chap.
Right, okay, yeah, no. It was dodgy. It was a shame, wasn't it? Because he could have got
maybe a Canadian of British descent.
Well, all of those, they used to be all of ours. They're all of British, all of you are.
I don't say that. Canadian Jose is going to be messaging me tomorrow now.
Well, he's probably French, isn't he, that one?
Any other fights you want to talk about, Naoto?
Well, I guess over the weekend, I don't know if you guys caught the link that I put it about Berchelt and Aruku.
Well, I saw it live anyway because the Box Nation picked it up, but I haven't really got much to
that
say.
That opponent was dog shit, man.
Yeah, he was a last-minute opponent.
Late replacement.
It was nothing much to say, man.
There's nothing to say.
Yeah. Well,
unfortunately, I don't blame him. It was a late replacement, wasn't it?
Called out other guys you want to see people call out. Called out Machado, called out Lomachenko, called out, what's his name? Okada. Although I guess, with him, it's, who knows what's going on with the whole drug situation and Tevin Farmer and all that, but, he's a beast, man. I want to see the best fight the best at any weight class, and then that it excludes nobody. I mean, Ramirez got an easy win over kind of a similarly matched opponent. I think Ramirez, honestly, even though he doesn't light the world on fire, I think he's going to be the single hardest fighter to actually defeat at super middleweight. that's just how I see it. He's consistent at the very least, and consistency usually tells all over time. And then Jordan Akaz continues to show himself as a little beast, man. Destroyed Israel Gonzalez, and hopefully now that Top Rank is in the super flyweight business, we'll be able to see some more big fights, and maybe we'll get that Akaz versus Inoue fight that Akaz turned down a year and a half ago too. I think that'd be really good.
That would be good, but has Inoue not got up to bantamweight now?
Yeah, he has, but I mean, Akaz is you could tell that he could put on a pound or two and not lose anything in the go between.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, Leon, the floor is yours.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is kind of a slight aside to the actual sport and the thing that actually really matters. But this overreaction to this kind of threat of loss of ring girls that I've
So, Leon, if people are not up to speed, just give them some context.
All right. So, darts cancelled walkout girls. F1 not cancelled. See that I'm falling into it now. They are no longer. Those roles are no longer available within those organisations, basically. So they are not using ring walk. They're not using walk on girls, and they're not using pit girls in F1. And boxing and sporting kind of fans' reaction is to this kind of, it's a kind of, the feminists have taken away their choice to work. And the idea that any choice has been removed from these people is ridiculous, because they're models. I imagine if you look on their CVs, it will say they're models, stroke PR workers, promotion workers. So no one said to them, you can no longer model, you can no longer work in promotions. These companies have decided, companies run by men, by the way, have decided that these positions are no longer something that they need or want to use within their sporting arena.
Yeah, basically it's one job that's not available to them anymore, but there's plenty of other jobs.
But there's a lot of other positions that are still available to these people, and the reaction has been like completely over. So I mean, admittedly at first I was like just trolling the fuck out of it and just really enjoying it, and like, I was saying to some people they've been stealing a living for years, fuck them. But joking aside, no one likes to lose their job, but no one's shut down a car plant here and put like 1,000 men or 1,000 women out on the street. These are people who are freelance workers. I imagine they're not paid by those companies direct. I imagine they are freelance. And this is just an opportunity that is no longer available to them. This idea that they have had their choice and their free will taken from them by these evil, jealous feminists, which I think using the term, to suggest that these people are jealous is too much of a nuanced argument. Women's rights, and I know some people don't like to talk about women's rights. I'm not, it's not my really our place to talk about women's rights as men, personally for me. But I just think the reaction has been hilarious from some people, because a lot of these people are the same people who, when Michelle Joy Phelps put up a picture, there'll be some kind of drooling gif or masturbating gif or I want to nail her gif. These are now the men who are fighting, trying to empower women's rights. So, I mean, I think some of the reaction has been hilarious. But then, on the Asylum last night, they had a ring girl on there, and fair play to them. I love the Asylum, and they had her on there, and she has her right to put forward her argument about how she emotionally feels about what she thinks might be happening to her down the line. But I just feel that unfortunately, it is a thing that is dying. It's slowly dying. I've worked in advertising for a long time, for 10 years, possibly more. And that's what one of our arguments was. We're doing a lot of stuff with brands and stuff, and doing a lot of stuff interacting with fans. And this may all well be true, but I spoke to my friend who's a creative director of one of the biggest advertising agencies in London. And I asked him, he's like, if you were redoing it, do you think this would be something you would put to your clients now? He's like, no. He's like, my clients, they wouldn't want this. They don't They wouldn't want this attached to their brand. The big brands would not want this. So I think that the companies have made calculated decisions that this is something they no longer require. So this idea that and I'm sure there are very, very extreme feminists who have very, very strong views. These haven't been just shut down. These companies do not make these decisions off the back of a petition. I can assure you of that from my experience of working with brands and stuff. They do not make these decisions like a click of a fingers, right? There would have been a lot of stuff discussed. Now, but my friend did also mention, well, why? If these people these girls who work for these companies, if they really wanted that job to still exist and they would find a way, they would. But imagine, he said, imagine a ring man or a ring boy at a boxing match. A man in pants walking around holding up a ring. How do you think that would play with boxing fans? Some boxing fans. Do you think that would work? Because they could have done that. They could have gone for that. They didn't. It wasn't on the table. Now, then I spoke to my friend at Formula One, because I've done some work with Formula One in the past, and I asked him, was that ever on the table? And he's like, no, it was never on the table. The position, those roles for those things were no longer required to be done by anyone of any sex. They did not want those roles. The thing has been completely twisted, in my personal opinion. I know it's not really that important in the grand scheme of things, but it's just been bugging me for a couple of weeks. I think the reaction has been completely ridiculous. Look, I got over Brexit, right? I think we can get over this, It's not a game changer.
I don't know, Leon, personally, to me, this is, it's not even news, to be honest. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. But I thought I had to say something because it's just, I've seen a lot of stuff and I just didn't think there had been another side. Really, I don't have a strong opinion on it either way. Those girls being employed to do ladies being employed to do those things, it doesn't really bother me. I don't feel a ring girl brings anything to my enjoyment of boxing at all, so it doesn't bother me. But it does feel a bit like some men screaming, we want our tits back. Basically, they've taken our tits away. It does feel like that a bit. And so, white knighting this shit, it's been quite funny to watch.
Can I just play devil's advocate? I don't want to.
Of course, I've played devil's advocate to the advocate, to them. Yeah. So yeah, go ahead.
Who's the harming? I mean, who is offended? We spent all this time.
No, but that's not.
I've not even discussed it ever. I mean, so many people.
Yeah, but who's saying? That's my point. Who's saying anyone is offended? Say maybe some feminists.
Someone must be.
No. So now, every decision a business make is because someone's offended? I mean, is that what we're saying? Is that how business...
So why aren't they investing?
I mean, some do because of, the idea of PR and stuff like that. But, I mean, I kind of hard
they are positions that people would do... I imagine...
Which promotional companies are instituting this at the moment? Can you give me some names?
Well, they're not. I don't really quite fully understand the Formula One thing because I don't watch it. But they're pit girls, so I imagine they're employed.
Are you talking about specifically Formula One as opposed to stuff with regards to boxing?
Yeah, the boxing thing hasn't changed yet, but I don't see them being sponsored over here. They got the Takao girls in America, so that would be them. But in the UK, they're not wearing brand shit, are they? So they're employed by the promoters, and maybe they'll be doing some deals with some of the companies that sponsor the events. But they're not walking around in JD tops or shit like that.
I could walk down a high street on a Friday night and see girls dressed more provocatively than they do. I don't really care. They're not showing any tits. They're showing a bit of cleavage. I mean... So what, man? I mean,
some of the people stands are probably dressed more provocatively than the...
And they're getting paid for it. There's nothing wrong with it. Everybody's got to
but no one said there is anything wrong with it. The people, this is not, the snowflakes here are the people who are crying about them no longer being employed. I haven't seen a clear message on why they are no longer employed.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I think it's kind of silly, like, to cry a river over, you know, like, oh my god, like, they lost this 1 gig of theirs where all they did was fucking stand there.
Well, it's a slippery slope.
And,
No, nonsense, Stu. It's not. Don't start this. What's the slippery slope? What's next? Go on, tell me what's happening next.
Well, would you like it if one of your gigs got cancelled?
My gigs get fucking cancelled all the fucking time. My gigs get cancelled fucking all the time.
For your testicle bulge.
Who's to say that that's the argument?
That is the argument.
Is it, though? Do you know that that's why they cancelled them?
The tits are the crutch, the tits.
I mean, it could also be
I'm not
that
gonna say-
Formula One accrues a lot of debt, and they're looking to cut costs.
But-
and one of the easiest costs to
but
cut
here's
is,
the point.
hey, these chicks ain't actually doing anything for us, so let's get rid of them.
Exactly.
If they were
The point
ugly,
is,
they wouldn't get a job. If they don't have big tits, they don't look nice, they wouldn't have a job. And that's the problem. People are somehow offended by cleavage. That is.
but how do you know that's not an actual fact? That's just that we're just projecting thoughts. That's what I'm saying. Do you think Barry Hearn and the guy who runs F1 are swayed by a petition? These people have been fucking renegades for doing what the fuck they like to get to where they are.
A quick Google search will tell you otherwise. They were swayed by this kind of thing.
Oh, were they? Okay, fair enough. Well, then that's on them.
I mean, it could. I think it's very easily that they could be lying. They could be fucking womanizers
but do you
all
see
day,
my
every
point,
day,
though?
and then
But
talking
do you see
shit.
my point? But my
that.
major point here is it's choice. They're saying they've had their choice of work taken away from them. That's their big argument.
I mean, what else can they do now?
They're models, Stu.
I mean, it's kind of in the age
They are
of
models. They can model.
Porn
They can model. You can get. My wife's a picture editor. She's employing models on a daily basis.
Yeah, a lot of
a
ring
daily
girls
basis.
strippers on the side too.
Oh, shit.
So no one's taking their choice away from them. That's my point here. No one's taking their choice away from them.
Yeah, but they are though.
They're not, because their role, their profession is a model. So them having one small revenue stream, that thing taken away, does not stop them from being a model. So their choice has not been taken away.
What about the ones who maybe done it for the F1, the boxing, the darts?
Shit happens to you all the time. Shit happens all the time.
Both of you, let's wrap
People
this up.
lose their jobs all the fucking time.
Let's wrap this up, Leon. Chew, if you got any final thoughts, make it now about the ring girls. But,
no, none. I shouldn't have brought it up.
All right.
Yeah, I've got a final thought. I think you shouldn't be celebrating a person losing their career when it harmed no one.
Who's celebrating? No one's celebrating shit. I mean, I was earlier.
You're basically saying it's alright, they'll get another job. So,
yes, because that's what life is like, Chew.
Yeah, but I wouldn't start beating your chest about it, you know?
No, but all I've done is, I'm not beating my fucking chest about it. I'm just putting forward a different point of view. Like I said, I don't have a big. I'm not bothered if they're there or not there. Personally, they don't really register with me at fights. Doesn't bother me. As Paul Newman says, who needs hamburger when you got steak at home? But I think the outrage has been ridiculous and completely overblown.
All right, let me jump in. Move on. I have got a list of...
Cam, I'm gonna miss those Cyclone girls, man. That was a highlight of that O'Hara Davy. Those girls were fire, man. Ugh. And Janessa from Tecate, she's beautiful, obviously. So it's gonna be a damn shame.
That's the Americans.
We need these ring card girls, man. Otherwise, I wouldn't know what round it was in a certain fight. You know?
I've got a good idea.
I would have never known it was in round 12 without these girls with their massive tits and the number on the card. I would have never known otherwise.
I've got an idea to replace them. You could have a golden eagle let go with a number of a round on between each round and fly around the arena.
I think
something like that. They're easy to replace.
Yeah, I think that would probably encroach on health and safety a bit.
But it'd be fucking good though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, until someone gets the eye gouged out.
Exactly. Swoops down and swoops up and takes someone away with him.
Alright, I've made a list of the fights that we can kind of
Almost flyweights.
discuss between now and probably up to the Quig
Cam,
Valdez fight.
I haven't told my position on the ring car girls, man.
We don't care about your position.
I know. Let's move on then, buddy.
Yeah, so
no one care about my opinion either. So don't at me or anything. I don't really want to discuss it. I just want to get it out of my chest. I'm not really interested in anyone's opinion on it.
Tomorrow your Twitter's going to blow up with all this shit, Leon. You just fucked up.
Fuck them.
Boxing MD is going to be appalled.
You're going to be called a white knight.
No, that's wrong. You're the white knight. The others are the white knights. You're the saving. Oh, they've had their jobs taken away. People lose their jobs all the time. That was my point. They still have a potential to model.
All right, that's it. That's it now.
Good.
Stop.
No one's closed the factory.
Stop. That's enough. All
All right,
Let's move on.
Yeah, so
steer the ship, Captain Cam.
I've got a list of fights up until maybe the Quig Valdez and the Mikey versus Sergey Lipnitz fight. So we can probably do a show before them. So do you guys want to talk about any news that happened between now and the last show, and then we can get into the previews, or should we go straight into the preview?
Let's just do previews first and then the news afterwards.
All right, Lemmy, I'll start with you. In my hometown this weekend, we have Chris Eubank Jr. versus George Groves. How do you see it playing out?
I actually don't have a real opinion. I actually want to take a back seat on this and hear what you guys have to say, because I don't know enough about either guy to really make an opinion. I especially want to hear what Chu has to say, because I know Chu was pretty high on Eubank Jr. back when he was at 160. So for me, I think it's a good fight. But I really don't know who I'm picking. I mean, if you had to put a gun to my head, I would say Eubank. I mean, not Eubank, but Groves. But I'm still kind of on the fence about this, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I'm not going to hog the line. I'm going to quickly just say my piece, and then we'll kind of go back and forth. I think it's a 50-50 fight. Groves is the antidote to Eubank, and Eubank is the antidote to Groves. You know, Groves doesn't like to get pushed up against the ropes. Pressure fighters. He didn't like Carl Froch. He didn't like Badou Jack. You know, Kenny Anderson gave him problems. But then Eubank, as the Billy Joe Saunders fight showed, he doesn't like boxers, doesn't like a good jab. He doesn't like straight punches. And obviously Groves is the biggest puncher that Eubank's ever faces. The question is, can Eubank's chin take that power? I think yes. I think Eubank will walk through hell, have a very tough first 6 rounds, and either win a decision or late stoppage. I'm surprised how many people are picking Groves. I mean, I know it's a 50-50 fight, so maybe I shouldn't be surprised. I'm just surprised how many boxers are picking him. Like, every boxer, well, the majority of the boxing interviews that I've seen seems to be picking Groves. I'm quite surprised at that. What do you guys think?
I think they're just jealous of Eubank and his swag.
Yeah, could be. More. I mean, Eubank.
No. I mean, I was being like semi-sarcastic, but I actually kind of mean that with regards to, you know, picking between Eubank and Groves. You know, I think Eubank and his dad are kind of unlikable cunts, so to speak, when it comes to like the boxing fraternity, as it were. You know, they're not exactly the type of people that are looking to make friends amongst other fighters. So I think that might have a lot to do with like who's actually picking who. But I think that ultimately, I don't trust Groves' psychology. You know, he's looked mentally kind of dicey to me ever since that first time he got knocked out by Froch. Even against Energy Eddie, he freaking like he looked like he was about to fall apart for a little while there. You know, before he beat the man out of
I miss the
sport.
old Groves as well. I miss the Rubik's Cube George. the kind of the George is going to get in your face and like try to mind fuck you like. Eubank Senior is clearly trying to mindfuck him.
Yeah. Well, and Eubank and Junior even like has a little bit of that too, because he has that cockiness and that confidence about himself. Like, I'm like on some like Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan shit. Like, nobody can fuck with me. You know, like I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna fuck you up, and nobody can do anything about it. And I think ultimately that's gonna lead him to the victory here. Honestly, I think Groves is technically a better boxer than Eubank, but I think Eubank's strong will and just the physical nature and with which how he fights, as well as the fact that Groves isn't the type of fighter that I think can stick to a game plan of sticking and moving against Eubank the way that Joe Saunders did. I think Eubank is going to wind up overwhelming him late and either stopping him or winning, a close but clear decision on the card. But I have a feeling like he's going to stop Groves. Groves is going to melt down and he's going to get him.
And just one last thing, though. I did agree with Eddie Hearn when I heard him in the IFL interview, and he was basically saying that the sparring that EubankJr is getting in, he's just getting, I'm not saying the bums because I'm not, but he's basically going to war and he's getting tagged. And he's getting stopped in his tracks by a lot of these guys, and Eubank Senior's jumping in the ring trying to stop him. It's like, you're not learning anything doing that. If anything, you're just putting miles on the clock. I read an interview with Eubank Senior, I think it was Fight Hype, some kind of website, and he was basically saying the reason why EubankJr does that is for volume. He's trying to build his stamina up. So he just goes forward, he doesn't kind of bob and weave or use the jab, he just goes in and uses volume. I'm like, George Groves isn't going to stand there right in front of you. He's going to be giving you angles, he's going to be jabbing, he's going to be timing you, he's got excellent timing. I don't know, he's kind of Lone Ranger approach to doing things, not listening to his trainer. Just no one can get to him. He's just doing it all on his own completely. I mean, that's make or break for that kind of mentality. I think if he doesn't win this fight, I think his career might be over. I think it might break him because he's put it all on the line, all or nothing, with this kind of crazy original style where he's not even training, he's not even getting a trainer. He's not even doing any kind of game plan. He's just doing it all on his own. I think that could backfire. Whether it's against Groves, I don't know.
Leon, what do you think?
I think George Groves' hairline is sickening. I'm joking. I've been trolling Groves fans. They seem very adamant about the victory, which is fine. They're backing their guy and he's fought at world level and et cetera, et cetera. I think this is a very, very close fight. Maybe just slightly towards George on, experience. But I think it's a close fight because Eubank has horrible flaws, which, it's there for everyone to see. And I think from what I saw when he won that paper belt against that Euro bum, because, that's kind of what people would say back in the day if you win a belt against someone like him. He looks like he might be a busted flush. Like he was in trouble in that fight. And so I worry that George is wear and tear, So I think it's a very, very close fight. It's not 2013. It's that punch that he threw against Froch. That hasn't happened again for a long time, if at all, where he's hit something so smoothly and so well with the counter. I haven't seen him do that. You think of that Murray fight, he didn't look good. But that's to say, Eubanks, he went 10 rounds with that weird Australian fight that no one had ever heard of. So no one's saying that there's two elite guys here anymore, I don't think. One who might have had the potential to get there, failed to get there, and one who's not proven enough and potentially and probably will never reach that level. So it's a close fight, but I think there's bad flaws on both sides, which makes it a good fight.
All right, guys, we have Tom on the line. Are you there, Tom?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, loud and clear, Tom. How are you?
What's that, Tom?
Not too bad. How's it going, lads?
Yes, going good, man. Tom, just give a little background about yourself, how long you watch boxing, some of the favourite fighters that you follow, and just a little intro to yourself, please.
Well, Leon just invited me on. I don't know why.
Because I like you.
Oh, because he likes me. He's gotten sick of his wife. But
maybe that's why he doesn't want the ring card girls to have a job.
Stop white knighting.
All these guys.
Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
Girls. All these guys with ring card girls. They basically just want to get their cocks out when they watch boxing, and they feel bad if it's just guys. What am I talking about? Boxing. Watching it since I'm about 5 or something, but I'm on the Boxing Gossip podcast. I am a regular on that, and Leon must know me from there, or Twitter. I'm not exactly sure where.
Twitter bants, isn't it? Always.
Yeah, Twitter bants.
Bants. So, but I was speaking to you about Groves, and that's how we were talking. You know, kind of the. You know, we were both saying that his fans seem to be kind of pumping up quite big for this fight, don't they?
I find that funny though, Leon, because you say his fans, but you were a Groves fans at one point because you were at.
He failed me. So
you were at Frotch Groves 1, if I do recall.
Yes, I've been to his fights. He's failed me. He's let me down so many times against the people I dislike the most.
Fickle.
I am too. When have I ever been anything else?
Well,
sorry, Tom.
Tom, how do you see it playing out?
Well, I'm kind of like I'm a sado, so I went today and I rewatched all the latest George Groves fights, and I don't think he was as shit in them as I remembered. So I don't think it's as one-sided as I thought about 2 days ago. But to me, the problem is for Groves is that all of his weaknesses are Eubank's strengths. So, and like, who the hell has Groves ever beaten? You know, he'd beaten James DeGale about 6 years ago. And like, all of his other step-ups, he's pretty much lost. So, when Eubank stepped up against Billy Joe, but he was fighting Binman before he fought Billy Joe, and it was still a very close fight. So, I just think, I don't know, I feel reasonably confident that Eubank's going to do him. But that just means I'm a casual.
Or a fanboy.
Or a fanboy. I can't stand either of them. Seriously.
You can't stand either of me.
Yeah. Do you know what I would like to see? I'd like to see like fucking, George Groves on the canvas like a shaved pig, piss and blood, and Paddy Fitzpatrick comes in and kicks him in the head. That's kind of that's my scenario.
That is good, that.
Paddy Fitzpatrick is actually very complimentary of George Groves, even though George Groves flings him under the bus every chance he gets.
George Groves is such a knobhead, man. Like, it's one thing, like, thinking, like, Paddy Fitzpatrick did a shit job, but it's another thing to go out in public and say, you're shit at your job. You know what I mean?
And he did it
just done 10 minutes ago.
And he did it for like, and he did it like 2 years after they kind of, went different directions. So it's like, come on, bro, you have to get over it at some point.
But as they say, a bad craftsman blames his tools, right? And that's one of George Groves' tools is to employ the right trainer. So I mean, it's bad judgment. If he thought he was that bad, his judgment must have been fucking horrible then, right?
Yeah, like if he already got knocked out by fucking Frotch with him, and he kept him on. Like, who's the dickhead?
Yeah.
Tom, do you mind me asking where you're from?
I'm from Ireland.
I figured that bit out, but which part of Ireland?
Tell. Oh my god.
No one knows where I'm from, lads. No one knows. I'm from a place called County Meath. It's basically the middle of a bog.
Me and Dan were recently in Ireland last week. 2 days in Dublin and a day and a half in Belfast.
Ah, very good. What did you do?
Just check out the city. Chill.
Yeah, Dublin's a great spot.
It is indeed. But, does anyone not give their take on the Groves? Noyota, did you give your take?
Yeah, man, I gave it right after you did. I feel like Groves is gonna psychologically melt down, and Eubank is gonna stop his ass.
For me, it's interesting because I kind of contradict myself. Like, I've talked to Chio on WhatsApp over the weekend, and I've spoke to a friend of mine, Mr. Fix, who runs Caffeine and Hip Hop, and I've actually picked Groves from, I think, the start, and I probably see Eubank winning, but I don't think it's decisive. Like, you can make the box rec resume arguments from both sides. Like, I agree with what Tom's saying. A disputed win against DeGale is probably Groves' best win. Similar to Eubank's only loss, it's kind of disputed. Some people saw him winning that against Billy Joe. Some people saw kind of draw. Some people saw Billy nicking it. So it's difficult. They have, like, to me, I know losses are lost, but I think you can learn a lot in losses. And I definitely think Groves has learned a lot against, Jack, against the two encounters against Froch. But Eubank, to me, again, to Chu's point, is if you look at him, like, who's really, and this is a question to all of you, who is Eubank's best win?
Who's Groves? Groves has only beaten De Gale. That's his only good win. Literally his only good win.
It's a decent win, though.
It is, but it's like there's only one of them there's only one decent win between the fucking pair of them.
Which is not,
and
not
there's
good.
not too much difference. There's not too much difference between. Oh, but I'm playing devil advocate here. Wait, there's like, it's a devil's advocate queue here. But like, was the Eubank fight against Billy Joe, was that probably as close as James De Gale fight? There's not much in them.
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think people see, I would think people would say, if you put a poll out, if you wanted to do such a thing and use your Twitter poll, I think people would suggest that the Groves De Gale was a closer fight on scorecards, and I think it probably was on scorecards. But there was a sea change in the Billy Joe Eubank fight, which gave Eubank some credit. But I mean, yeah, they're both they're similar-ish, I think. But it's perception. I think there's a lot of first for the Eubank loss, which I completely understand, because I was there the first time round with Senior, and I remember being the only kid who was into boxing in my school who picked him, and I will never, I'll never forget that glorious day walking back in on that Monday, having beaten Ben, and I will hold that dear to my heart, and that's why I will always be an English defender, and no one can ever take that away from me. But that first for the Eubank loss is making people oversell Groves' achievements. That's what I see now. And look, there's a very good chance that Groves wins this fight. He could knock Eubank out and expose him badly, because no one's saying that this is an elite level talent. No one who knows about boxing is saying that Eubank is not flawed. I'm just saying there's the things that he has as his strengths, like as everyone said, they work in his advantage against a fighter like Groves. But he could ice him. Groves could knock him out, because I don't think he's got his dad's chin. He could knock him out quite easily. But I think some people are letting their dislike of Eubank over project what Groves has left.
What punch has made you think that he doesn't have his dad's chin? Or what fight?
Look, I'm going blind faith, as I do quite a lot on this podcast. But he was definitely buzzed a little bit by Spike, just a little. He made him lose his shape. He made him Spike hit him, and he went and grabbed hold of him. But Spike can punch a bit, yeah. So that's my point. I'm accused of being a Eubank fanboy, right? Well, I'm not, because a fan will blindly, that's what fans do, they blindly think that their guy or their team is going to win, like they have complete faith in that. I don't have complete and utter faith in Eubank at all, so I'm not being accused of being a fanboy. I'm a fanboy of his dad, but not him. It's a close fight. That's all I'm saying. I think that people, some of the things I've seen said about Groves seem insane. Yeah. Now, the Groves now.
What? Give us an example. What type of things have you seen and read?
My memory's shot to bits.
You have a think. You have a think, and I'll just finish off what I was going to say. So
you go. Yeah.
Like I said, I am picking Groves, but I could easily see Eubank winning. Eubank's flattered by guys that stand in front of him. Like, you saw how he demolished Yildirim. You saw how it was easy to tee off on Arthur Abraham. I agree that performance against Reynold Quinlan was a bit suspect, but he had kind of had some time out, and he just looked off that night. His timing was off a bit, but and Quinlan was a lot better than most people suspected. The only tape people really saw of Quinlan was that 2-round demolishment of Danny Gill. So Groves can move a bit. Billy Joe moves a bit. Groves can do that on the back foot. Only issue with Groves, even against Cox recently, like any type of pressure, he doesn't take it well. He cowers. He kind of looks away. He'll kind of go backwards, put his back against the ropes, and then kind of do a wild swing. And that kind of is his downfall. And he was doing it against Chudinov as well. And yeah, I don't know. I think if he boxes and moves and doesn't resort to that cowering shit, I think he can have issue. But Eubank is aggressive, but he doesn't really go on the front foot and throw loads of punches. He'll kind of throw a combination, step back, kind of take a walk, come back and so. So in that type of fight, I can see a kind of back and forth. So I don't know, man. It's a 50-50 fight. It's the type of fights I love because I can't like foresee a specific win. So I'm just gonna enjoy it.
Cam.
Yes.
The thing that's been winding me up is this about the growth man. It's this fighting at world level thing. So if you fight at world level, the highest level, you're on that level. But that's the shit that we ridicule Paul Smith for, right? Like these, him. Is he definitely a high world level fighter?
I think he's like on the fringe of like. Well, like he's like high European level, you'd probably say, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. So we're not talking a million miles away from where Eubank is.
No.
With all his flaws, all of the Eubank's flaws, he's not a million miles away from that. So it's like, you going in against good opposition, yeah, that's good for you. But and he did very well in that first Roch fight, but he got brutally knocked out in the second fight. And he lost to Bumdu Jack, and I never stopped using that name.
It was a close
fight. Too
fight.
Good a name.
It was a close fight, and he was away from home.
But was it a close fight? Did you? I watched it again. Jack was in control of that fight.
I've not seen it since the day, so I don't know. I'm just going off the
I
scorecard.
watched it.
Was it split or was it
over the weekend?
majority?
And that was meant to be, he stormed out the ring thinking he might have won that fight, but he didn't win that fight. I can't stand Jack.
Steroid Jack. That's what I call him. He's like, look at James DeGale after the Jack fight. He's not the same fighter. I think Groves is going to have a similar. I still don't think Groves has recovered from that Jack fight. He beats Cox. Right, great. Cox. He is who is Cox. And who else has he fought? He was
Murray. He went 12 with Murray.
Went 12 with Murray. Who I like Murray. He's gritty, but he couldn't break an egg at that level. And Chudinov gave him, trouble. Loads of trouble. I just think Eubank's going to be right on his chest. And even Cal Froch is saying, hey, listen, I hit Eubank with my best shots. Multiple. And he just keeps on coming. I just think if Groves goes to knock Eubank out, he's not going to get any kind of joy. Eubank's just going to walk him down.
Lads, what about the corners? Like, have you rewatched the Eubank versus Billy Joe Saunders fight? And in the first round, after the first round, in between, they go to whoever Billy Dibbs in Billy Joe Saunders' corner, and he's like giving him all these directions, and then it comes to Eubank, and like Eubank is there telling him how to sit down in the stool properly.
But he is elite. He will troll his own son in a fight. That's why you gotta love Eubank.
Man, he's fucking brilliant.
He's a nutcase. Let me just tell you this quick story. So my wife works in magazines, and she used to work for a company called EMAP that's closed down now. But they used to have a big award show. And so 4 years she was there, it went Rob Brydon, Jonathan Ross, presenting the awards, then it was Bill Bailey, and then one of the last years they did the award show was Eubank. So he's up giving out awards to people, and like Ruth's like, people were, like, he had nothing, like no jokes, No patter, nothing. And if he started losing it a bit, he would just kind of step away from the mic and just start shadowboxing up on stage. And that's all he had. And people were just booing him, and he was only got a bit handsy when girls started getting up on the stage and collecting the awards, a bit gropey. So this is the man you're dealing with. He's a fucking full-blown lunatic. That's why I love him.
What do you call it, lads? But one thing I'll say is that looking at the two boys, like Eubank is definitely the more confident looking. I think that shit matters. He looks like completely certain that he's going to win. And the other thing, they were trying to get Groves as the first pay-per-view person when they went to ITV first instead of Ronald Quinlan. So, like, I think they know what, you know, they know they can take him. I just feel like they're very confident. And I think that has to mean something, you know.
I think so. In boxing, we always, you know, going down into the minutiae, and you know, he's a very, very confident kid, isn't he? Like, you know, he seems to enjoy fighting. And the other thing about Groves, like Cam was saying about movement, but he's won all his fights recently by standing in front of someone. He didn't move around to beat Chudenov. He didn't move around to beat Cox. He wasn't moving around boxing for back foot against Murray. No, I think that fight has gone.
That's a fair point, actually. That is a fair point. Has anyone got anything else to mention regarding this fight?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Eubank Senior and Junior are kind of bringing up the fact that, you know, obviously Groves has hurt someone in the ring. I think it's Gutnicht.
Yeah, Edward Gutnicht. Yeah.
And, you know, Senior kept harping on it. Did he not forget that Junior done what he done to Nick?
No, he's been harping on about Blackwell as well. Like, he's gone full mental on this. Like, I mean, it's all in really, really poor taste. But that's what he's like. He's a weird fucking dude, man. But
you notice that Eubank Junior, he doesn't really give a fuck about Nick Blackwell. I'm sorry to say it, but it's like when he brings it up, maybe he's a little bit demure. You know, he's a little bit, you know, he's playing it off a little bit. He's maybe giving a little bit of respect, but I personally think he doesn't really care.
Junior doesn't care about Blackwell.
I mean, it doesn't affect him. I'm not saying it doesn't.
No. I think you're 100%. I don't think he gives a shit. Personally, it comes across like that.
He's just letting people think that he does, but he doesn't. He's just got that mentality where it's.
We're guessing here, though. But
I mean, we're speculating, but I can just tell by the body language, my opinion.
I don't think Junior's a particularly nice person. But I'm pretty sure he's not a nice kid. We've seen those videos of him fighting in fucking car parks in Brighton and shit. Like, he's not a nice person.
Like you said, though, it's a kind of tasteless thing to bring up. I mean, even Grove said it in the IFL interview that it was, what was the word they said about Eubank Senior? Classless. It was classless. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, but he's got previous of being classless, Eubank. Like, Chris will say what the fuck he likes whenever he likes to, like, that's just who he is. Like, he's probably said he said terrible stuff in the past about rape cases and awful things.
But given Senior's, in particular, history with Michael Watson, you know...
He does care about that, though, yeah.
It's like he's kind of bred Eubank Jr. to not care like he cared, because Eubank Senior's career is kind of split into two halves. Prior to that and after that, maybe Eubank Senior's kind of bred Eubank Jr. into being like, you can't be like me, you need to just go in there, kill or be killed.
But Chu and Leon, I don't know if he does it this purposely, but it seems to me he always mentions like, the refs need to be aware that, you know, Junior's very powerful, blah blah, and he doesn't want to recreate the situations, but I don't think he explains it well and it comes across well. Do you guys agree? And he's trying to actually look out for the opponent boxer, but it actually comes out in bad taste.
No, I disagree.
I think he's willing to say anything to distract from people talking about his son, really.
Okay.
like in the big thing, talk in detail or focus on him. It's just like Mourinho or those people who distract away from their team. Like it's just all bravado, and he was all about bravado. Like I grew up watching him. This shit was always going on with him. It's nothing new. Like so, being offended by him saying mental shit. Like I mean, I've got a bit of some of these people who are offended by him saying the horrible thing he said about Nick Blackwell are the same people who praise Billy Joe Saunders or find it funny when he talks about Chris raping Chris Jr. as a child, because that's a child rape joke, but that's okay for them because they just like him, right? So where's the line in taste? We can't. Boxing is full of horrible people who say horrible things. So choosing to be offended by this thing is, just be offended. People are offended all the time, right?
Yeah. All right. Anyone else got anything left on the?
No, I just want to add a couple of things. Like, don't you guys think that's just a really dumb argument in and of itself in terms of Senior advocating for the refs to be cognizant of his son's, I guess, power? Because to me, if you actually have power, you'd be able to stop Blackwell to the point where you make him quit rather than him, or rather the fight ending in that fashion, right? It'd be like Golovkin stopping Macklin or just any kind of powerful puncher for that matter. I just think it's a stupid moot point to begin with.
That Blackwell fight should have been stopped, though, so.
Yeah, it should have.
What I'm saying is if it was someone like Golovkin, he would have made his opponent in that situation, Blackwell, quit on his own volition.
Yeah, but I don't know. Lim, with that situation I think EubankJr is a few notches away from being like a Golovkin puncher. So, yeah, starching him out or making him quit in the sixth probably would, lend to his point. But a guy going onwards and just keep taking big shots and big punishment for like 11 rounds, then I think that's more damaging to the guy's health.
No. I'm not talking about the damage. I'm just talking. Maybe I misinterpreted what Eubank was trying to say, but I thought he was trying to say that his son was that dangerous and powerful. So you guys should be aware of that. Was that not the original point that he tried to make?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But the point is, you can't take anything he says
as both
seriously. It's madness. It's nonsense and madness all the time with him.
I understand. So pretty much this discussion is moot.
Just anything comes out of his mouth, don't believe or don't listen to, really.
I guess as an American, we don't know much about Chris Eubank, so that's an educational lesson for us.
I think Eubank, don't listen to Eubank just as people don't listen to Trump. I think it's kind of a similar situation.
Please don't bring politics into this.
But he's better dressed though, Chris, isn't he?
I like listening to Eubank, Senior.
I don't know about those boots. I don't know about those boots sometimes, Leon.
He's got better hair than Trump.
He's got better hair, only just so.
Yeah, that's true.
He's had some funky hair, but look, it takes a lot of balls to pull those kind of boots off.
It does indeed.
He's a black man rocking a monocle, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
that's brave shit, man.
All right, anything else you got in this fight?
No.
Undercard.
Did we get everyone's picks? Did I even pick?
All right, we'll get everyone's picks. Leon.
I think Groves will win. After all that, probably he'll win.
After all that, you're picking Groves.
Wow. What's that?
Fuck's sake.
Someone changed their mind.
No, I just put cross arguments to you. I'm not.
He was just playing devil's advocate, too.
You're hedging all the bets.
I bet on everyone.
Neota, who's your final pick?
Eubank by stoppage.
Tom?
Eubank.
Chew.
Eubank.
Daniel.
I don't know.
Cheers.
I'll make my prediction after the fight ends.
Can I just ask everyone just before we change topics, if Groves knocked him out in a round, would you be surprised?
No.
In a round, yeah. In a round, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised.
I just wanted everybody to vote for Eubank and then have Leon the only one going for Groves.
So that's Eubank then, is it, Cam?
Nah, I
Groves, aren't you?
actually think Eubank will win, but I'm picking Groves. I picked him from the start, so I'll continue picking him.
Oh
dear.
I don't know why. I don't know if I've said that because just to be awkward or because I mean it now.
No, you got to stick with it now.
It's on record now, isn't it?
It is indeed.
But I want Eubank to win because some of the Groves fans are making, like I said, it's the first for the Eubank loss makes me want him to win more and more and more.
Yeah.
I think Callum Smith beats either or in the final.
Calm down, Chew.
No. It's all by the by because Big Jurgen's going to win the whole lot.
That is true.
It's in Germany, so maybe.
Imagine he won it. Oh, it would be fucking hilarious. Because he could beat...
I think he's going to beat Callum Smith.
Yeah, I think he beats Callum Smith.
He's got Enzo McInerney problems. Bremer.
No, you mean Nathan Cleverley problems.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, but Nathan's a big boy, isn't he? That's tough. I think Callum has a lot... I'd like to see Callum take Jurgen's best shot full. Because for all of Jurgen's faults, he can punch.
Yeah, you kind of...
You get 5-1. You get 5-1 on Jurgen Bremer, and it's in Germany. Is that not crazy odds?
Ooh, that is madness. Because if it goes 12, it's going to be, because Joe's already moaning about it getting robbed before he even gets out there, isn't he?
5-1, man, that is fucking crazy.
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
Anything else regarding the Groves Eubank card?
What's on the undercard?
Undercard's pretty below average, Leon. Ryan Walsh defending his his British against Isaac Lowe, Tyson Fury's cousin. Tommy Langford versus Jack Armfield, which is not actually a bad technical fight. It's going to be a jab fest, but both guys haven't got power, so don't expect any knockdowns and expect it to go long. That's about it. You got Arthur Iqbal, who's a cruiserweight, he's a fat cruiserweight, he's fighting Simon Bialy, but yeah, it's pretty shit show from World Boxing Super Series for the undercard. But some of the ones, I don't know if you've been catching the undercards on some of these European shows, Leon, but they have been pretty trash.
They've been pretty poor, haven't they?
Yeah.
But, look, we get in the big fight. This is a big fight, isn't it? Groves, Eubank, are they, after AJ, the two biggest names in boxing in the UK?
It is a massive British fight. Yeah.
They'd be the four big names, I would say now. I mean, the Eubank name comes because of the Eubank thing, Groves because of Frotch, AJ's at the top of the pile, Khan because of his history. They've got to be the four biggest, right?
I would say, yeah.
Brooke.
Who said Brooke?
Brooke can give tickets away.
Chew, do you want me to hang up on you already? What's going on, bro?
Your boy should have been left in that jungle.
Should have never went into it, to be honest. But Tom, do you want to stay on or do you need to go? Or
I need to go, lads. I'm about to fall asleep. Not saying you're not all very good. I'm just tired as fuck, lads.
No problem. Sorry for getting you on late, Tom.
No hassles. All right, I'll talk to you again. Good luck.
All right, take care.
Yeah,
Cheers,
take care,
Tom.
man.
See you later, man. Bye.
All right. Same night as Eubank Groves, we have in the States Danny Garcia versus Brandon Rios. Start us off, Chew. What do you think? How do you see it playing out?
I'm surprised Brandon Rios is still fighting. I mean, I've not heard from him. I thought he was going to fight Victor Ortiz back about this time last year.
No, Ortiz doesn't want it, man.
Yeah, I'm hearing Victor Ortiz is maybe going to be fighting. Who's going to be fighting the other?
He's fighting Devin on the same night.
That's like
Same night, different place.
I mean, Alexander, Ortiz, Rios, these are guys from like 5 years ago. But the landscape's not really changed, and Danny Garcia's kind of the fresher of the two fighters, and I would expect him to knock Rios out. I heard Rios talking in an interview recently, and he's always saying he's kind of punch drunk, but I think he's just been in too many wars. And if guys like Mike Alvarado are giving you problems, and Danny Garcia's probably going to sleep you, probably 6 round stoppage, something like that.
What do you think, Naota?
I mean, at the very least on paper, Garcia really should knock Rios out. But I get the feeling that he won't. You know, I think he's a little bit too telegraphed, and Rios will be able to, at the very least, take what he's giving him. And you know, there's a potential that Rios could give him some difficulties on the inside, especially considering where Garcia's had problems in the past with Herrera and Peterson. Which isn't to say that Rios is as good or better than them, especially now. But I think it'll be a bit more difficult than a lot of people are expecting. And it's entirely possible that Garcia may not necessarily be as explosive as he was before the Thurman fight, because I get the feeling that he's one of those guys that a lot of his own self-confidence came from the fact that he was an undefeated fighter. So it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to that. But ultimately, I do think that Garcia probably stops Rios on accumulation late.
Leon he's gone to take the dogs for a late night walk. Lim, if you're still there, you got any?
Oh, no, I'm here. I'm just fucking around with the dishwasher and didn't want to make too much noise.
What do you think of Rios versus Danny Garcia?
He's kind of set up for Danny to knock him out, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say
a bit. I think style-wise, I think, Danny's after one of those big left hook knockouts, isn't he? And I think, Rios might play into his hands because, Rios is washed, isn't he, kind of?
Yeah, Rios' best work is usually in the pocket, and he's just going to be right in direct line of that fucking close your eyes left hook, so...
Yeah, he probably won't be able to cough the ring fast enough to prevent Garcia from nailing him.
And Danny thought, he'll bend them knees, and then boom, good night, right?
I love as well, because I was reading an article where there was a few quotes from Angel saying, "Oh, this is not an easy fight. This is a tough fight, man. Brandon's a tough operator," and people saying that it's easy for Danny. They don't know about boxing and shit. Bro, this guy's fucking made for your son, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. He fucking picked him, probably,
Exactly. Fucking hate
crazy business.
Garcia. But yeah, it's a bum fight, this, and Danny just keeps getting these easy cherry picks, and nothing ever is even no one even argues about it, apart from us fucking hardcore boxing fans. It's like everyone just gives him a pass.
It might just be that people have low expectations for him now because this is the kind of precedent that he set in the past, so.
We're just used to that
shit. At this
shit.
point, people don't give it down. Just Danny. That's a Danny Garcia fight, yeah.
Yeah. Anyone want to talk about the rematch of Benavidez versus Gavril? I've not really properly seen the first fight.
Way to skip over me, dude. Thanks a lot, man.
I did go to you before, but you ignored me, so...
No, that's not true. Leon was doing something with the dishwasher, and you just decided to forget about me, dude.
To be honest, you don't even care about Rios versus Garcia anyway, so...
I'm going to this fucking fight, man.
You're not going to the fight. You're in LA at the moment.
I'm in Vegas, actually, because my boy Caleb Plant's fighting on the card against Porky Medina.
Oh shit, this is in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why the fuck is this in
it's
Vegas?
At the MGM, bro.
This should be in fucking Barclays or something, isn't it?
Because of Gavril. Because Gavril's TNT.
No, nobody gives a fuck about Gavril, man. But yeah, I'm going to this card, man. You asshole.
No, but the people the person that put an ass in the seats is Benavidez, man. All the people from Arizona. He's probably the biggest. He's probably actually the most popular of all of them in terms of actually putting people in the seats.
Yeah, but
yeah, there's probably going to be about 20 people at this card, and Benavidez will account for about 16 of them. So I guess you're right,
bro. You fucked up though, because your boy Caleb Plant's fighting in Texas.
Oh, I know. I was just fucking around.
Nah, you fucked up.
But no. I know he's obviously. This is a two-carder with. I want to see the Benavidez fight.
PBC Showtime doubleheader. Yeah.
I think Benavidez didn't look as good as I hoped for against Gavril, but I think Benavidez had I don't know, he said that he had a flu or something on that night. Not quite sure, but I want to see him get rid of Gavril.
I think he took him easy, honestly.
But yeah, regarding the Rios Garcia fight, I want to see one of those mentally challenged left hooks that Danny Garcia knocks people the fuck out with. But I actually think not the only way, but I think the more probable way of Danny actually getting rid of Rios is through a body shot, because I still believe in Rios' chin, even if he's shot to shit. So yeah, I think he needs to go to the body to get a stoppage. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty depressing fight. And like you alluded to, Kim, I think the reason why nobody cares about Danny's opposition is that nobody gives a fuck about Danny Garcia, honestly. So it's just kind of like something that nobody really pays attention to except for us.
Yep. Anyone else on Benavidez versus Gavril?
Yeah, I mean, Benavidez is a good prospect, obviously, and I want to see him first Gilberto Ramirez. That's a fight that I want to watch.
Yeah, I think he'll beat Gavril more clearly this time. I honestly thought they took him easy in the first fight. He overlooked him and bullshitted and caused him to have a harder fight than he otherwise would have.
I'm not impressed by Benavidez. When he punches, his feet come off the floor. He's sloppy. You know, he's like an orthodox Paul Williams. You know, he just negates his height. He just goes in and has like a boxing, like body shot contest with Gavril and goes life and death with him. You know, that knockdown, he could have lost that fight, even though I thought he won it just.
I think he just had an off night because he smashed up Porky.
Porky's I'm sorry, is that Dan's pal? Well, I've got history. Well, I mean,
No,
Porky's not good.
Dan's pal's fighting Porky.
No, Porky's a guy that my boy's fighting, actually. So.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. He's a gatekeeper. If I had to choose, probably the best gatekeeper in boxing right now would be Porky Medina.
He's a gatekeeper now that Benavidez got through with him. Because he definitely wasn't a gatekeeper when he beat the shit out of James DeGale.
I knew you were going to say that. You have to bring that into the conversation.
So are we saying that Ricky Burns is now below gatekeeper?
Ooh.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah, you're going to piss off Chew as well, though. Think about that.
Oh, but Chew can take
I've
it.
moved on.
He's a devil, yeah.
Chew's
playing devil's advocate.
Chew's under Josh Taylor hype now.
I wasn't going to bring up Ricky Burns either because Chew hasn't been on the show in a long time, and I want to.
Also on that same card, though, too, is of interest to some people might be Ray Robinson versus Yordenis Ugas, since the winner of that fight will likely become a future opponent, probably this year against Errol Spence.
Is that any relation to the Ray Robinson?
No. He's not related to him, but he's named after him. He's a pretty good fighter, but I mean he's inconsistent. Put it that way. He's inconsistent.
Once every 50 years.
All right. Like I said, same day in Texas, Devin Alexander, Victor Ortiz, and Caleb Plant versus Porky Medina. Limbs.
What about, can I just mention Bivol against Barrera?
Yeah, we're going to get to that too.
Sorry, Cap.
Thomas William Jr. is on there against someone. Tony Harrison's on TBAs. Austin Trout's fighting an 8-rounder. Carlos Balderas is on there. I don't know. Lim's boy, I'm not really seeing him properly, so I can't really give it a full.
Cam, you got to work on your Hispanic name pronunciation skills, man. It sounded like you called him Balderas.
That's how it looks like.
He doesn't have those all-road skills like Kimo.
He's a bum, man. When we were in Ireland, he was trying to pronounce Guadalajara, and he said Guadalajara. That was embarrassing.
That is true, man. I did fuck Guadalajara up. So, yeah, just the whole card overall.
Davies?
Devin Alexander, Ortiz, who really cares? Sorry, Lim, I'm not really seeing much of your boy Caleb, so I can't really question much on that. And your cousin Jennifer Hand's on there as well, defending her IBF title. So.
I bet Dan hasn't seen much of him.
I've seen a lot, man. Caleb's my guy. What can I say?
It's impossible to tell with you.
It's a terrible card, honestly. It's just a bunch of guys that nobody really gives a fuck about. And that Devin Alexander versus Victor Ortiz fight, I mean, what's the fucking point of that fight?
I'm just interested to see how Victor Ortiz
set up Keith Thurman's comeback opponent.
No, it's true though, to Chew's point. Like Ortiz should have been fighting Rios, and then I wouldn't mind Devin fighting Danny Garcia. Like it's like oppositions are the wrong way around.
Nah.
I've got Victor Ortiz in that fight, by the way.
Yeah,
What is
isn't
it, Alexander?
Alexander washed?
What is Alexander? Alexander's just as washed as Rios and Ortiz,
Nah,
Yeah, he's the same.
I disagree. Man.
and he has about as much heart as Victor Ortiz. My eye, it burns.
You never know what's going to happen in a Victor Ortiz fight. That's why I always watch. I mean, people criticize him.
That is true.
I mean, ultimately,
I think one of the coalition shows we ever had was the Victor Ortiz versus the Collazo recap. So Victor Ortiz has a very dear place in my heart.
Yeah, Berto. Had 2 great battles with Berto.
Yeah.
They're all the same. They're all washed together, aren't they? That lot. They're all
yeah,
just as
Alexander
washed as
versus
each
Berto
other.
would actually be a pretty good fight, to be honest with you.
I forgot all about Berto.
I'd pick Bird. I'd put Bird on that fight too.
Berto, forgot about Berto. Anyone else regarding any fight on this card?
Nah.
Naota, the day before Friday, the 16th, this Friday, Beltran gets another crack at a world title. He's fighting a former Ricky Burns opponent, Paulus Moses. What do you think?
I think Beltran will continue his winning ways, and well, I don't know. Moses is reasonably durable. Yeah, no, I think Beltran stops him. I think he stops him late. But I think Moses will give him a good fight, though. I think he'll give him a pretty good scrap all the way up until it ends. But yeah, I guess Beltran will finally get that title and maybe that green card that they freaking harp on about endlessly. Like, as though it's like some story of like some up-and-comer that nobody knew about before. The guy's been around forever, so.
I want him to get the green card more than the title so they can just shut the fuck up about it.
Yeah, seriously.
But anyone else regarding this fight? Nope. Alright.
Nope.
A week later, good card, not as good as the first Superfly card, but Superfly 2 at Inglewood, California on Saturday the 24th. Naota takes us away again with the Rungvisai versus Estrada.
Yeah, man. This is a fight that I'm most looking forward to. You know, that might wind up being the fight of the year in terms of action, in terms of skill level, all that good stuff. I think Estrada is a little bit too technically sharp for Srisaket, but he did start a little bit slow against Quadras. Srisaket is a very quick starter. He'll jump right on you as soon as the opening bell rings, and he's got power in every single shot. You know, he's the type of physical force that it's really hard to account for. Like, even if you fought good, strong, powerful fighters in the past, this guy is like next level. You know, this guy is that type of fighter that you really can't prepare for. In a way where it's like you can get sparring partners that do what he does. You know, what he does in there is just sheer brutality on at the highest of levels. So I think that he'll give Estrada a very tough fight. I think it's going to be a nail biter all the way down up to the end of it. But I do think that Estrada has enough that he can do, enough mix-ups, enough change-ups. He's a fighter's fighter. He's a boxer's boxer. He's to me the best, the most technically sound boxer in the sport, bar none. And I think that's going to lead him to victory over Srisaket. And what's a really good but competitive fight and really, really entertaining. I expect Srisaket to pull out all the stops, including some of the questionable shit. And it's going to be fun. It's going to have everything, I think.
Leon, what do you think? Leon's messing with the dishwasher again.
Sorry, Cam, I've got to do something with dogs, so I might have to drop off. Sorry.
No problem. I'll leave you to it, Leon.
I'll just hang on.
All right.
Bye.
Take care, Leon. And can you record?
Nice to meet you, Chew.
Leon, can you record like another half on the ring card girls? Then we'll put it on the Podomatic as a special.
Go fuck yourself, Daniel.
All right. See you, Leon.
All right.
Love you, Dan.
Chew, did
good
you?
to hear from you, Chew.
Chew
later, man.
Man.
Yeah, good to speak to you. I hope you get your titties back soon, Chew.
I'll send you a picture.
All right.
See you later.
Chew
has gained some weight, Leon's. They might be coming quite soon.
Chew, last year, I know you were kind of busy with other stuff, not paying attention to boxing that much. You kind of caught up with the bigger fights. Did you see Rungvisai won And Rungvisai versus Roman Gonzalez 1 and 2, or did you not?
I seen the 30 seconds before the knockout. I didn't see the whole fight. Yeah, just a bigger guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a big, strong guy. I don't know. Me personally, I think Estrada has to kind of box and move. If he stands in front of him, then it's going to be issues. But if it's a decent sized ring and he can just let off his combinations and just step to the side or try not to go. But Estrada does kind of go back in straight lines sometimes with his hands low as well. So I don't know. I do.
I see the kind of. I think Estrada wins.
Yeah, I'm favouring Estrada as well.
Why? Because I don't know why. I'm just backing him.
I don't know. I think like Rungvisai is a tough guy. His tank is really good, but I think he was flattered by Roman standing in front of him. If he's got a target in front of him, I think Neut. I don't know if I remember incorrectly, but did Rungvisai not lose to Quadras?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and that's what it
was a technical decision loss. Basically, Quadras got a really early lead. He was too quick for hhim. Srisaket was starting to come back a little bit, landed some good body shots, and then a head clash wound up ending it because it got called on a technical decision since Quadras was leaking really bad over his eye from the headbutt.
Right. Yeah. So I think if it's not in his like. Estrada can move, but he doesn't fight like Quadras. But I think he can put that game. I think he has to put that game plan out on that night. Otherwise, if he stands in front of him, I think he's going to take a beating. So we'll see. Lim, any view on this fight? Lim. All right, I'll move on.
Can I just say it's kind of a shame. Sorry,
it's going to. Oh no, my bad, Chu. I think it's going to be a really good fight. Can I ask you guys a question though, right before I make my pick? When Rungvisai fought Quadras and leading up to the head clash, was Rungvisai coming on strong enough to potentially get like a draw or even get a victory?
I mean, he was coming on strong enough, I think, to potentially win the fight, but he would have had to really completely turn things around. Yeah, like he would have had to really completely turn things around.
And this is just complete conjecture on my part, because obviously I don't know shit about the flyweight division. But if I had to guess, I would assume that Rungvisai has improved dramatically since that fight. I mean, just as from a confidence level, I can't imagine what the Chocolatito one has done for him. And for me personally, I think I don't know what you think about this, Nauta, but I would assume that Estrada is actually an easier matchup for Rungvisai because Quadras is like one of those guys that you just don't want to chase around the ring for fucking 12 rounds. Whereas Estrada, who may be more technically efficient, I would assume doesn't move around as much as Quadras does. But
he doesn't move around as much as Quadras or as quickly, but I think it's more educated movement. So it's kind of balanced out.
Does he have the power to hurt Rungvisai?
Well, I think he has the power to put him on notice. Maybe not to like just crack him and boom, it's all over. But if Srisaket thinks that he could just walk through anything and everything, I think he's got another thing coming because Estrada doesn't have that power that where he's just naturally heavy-handed, but he has the power where he's sharp enough to hit you right at that right moment.
He kind of reminds me of Eric Morales a little bit.
Oh, Estrada?
Power-wise, yeah. So he just hits you enough to kind of get your attention.
I wasn't really like too hyped about the Superfly 2, but now that it's coming on, I mean that's a great fucking fight, man. I thought Rungvisai was gonna bullshit and try to get some easy tune-ups or easy touches before he fought the likes of Estrada, but I'm really glad.
Well, Estrada's is mandatory, so if he didn't fight him, he'd get stripped. So that's. But I guess you could give some credit to the WBC for that.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say, well, there goes an actual mandatory doing its job, whereas. You get so many countless situations where guys like Errol Spence and other champions are fighting complete nobodies for the mandatories. So at least the WBC is doing something right in this case. Or it also could be the fact that Rungvisai obviously is high, whereas Estrada is Mexican. So I'm sure Suleiman wants Estrada to win this fight desperately. That's not racism. That's just kind of facts, as people like to say. Facts.
Yeah, well, and Estrada otherwise, if it wasn't for the WBC, may still be waiting for a title shot as he had been for a couple of years now.
Yo, Lim, now that you've traveled the world and you're back home, is this a card that you would entertain going to if my boy Ski Mask Joe was going?
Absolutely. The Forum is a great place to watch fights. Tickets are cheap as fuck. When I went to that Burchelt Kamagai, or that Burchelt versus the Honda auto technician, the fight tickets were very, very cheap, and the seats were fantastic. So I would definitely go. However, Takashi Miura, my bad. I thought he was a Honda dealer for a second there. I can make those jokes because I'm Asian, so it's not as racist. But however, if there's not going to be any Tecate ring girls, I might have to boycott that fight entirely. I may never go to a fight again, honestly, if there's no ring card girls, because like I need to see titties when I go to a fight. I just can't imagine boxing without them.
You want to fight?
I want the fight and I want the titties. I want both.
Well, Errol Spence isn't fighting that day, Lem, so you might be disappointed.
Yeah. Leota, just going to the undercard.
Errol Spence.
As we're saying, like the...
Oh, I see what you did there.
Sorry, Cam.
Hey, Cam, this is when... Let's just let things loose, man. Chu hasn't been on for a while, so let's just bullshit, man.
Well,
you don't need to get all...
Can I get through with the super flag card real quick?
No, you can't, because the super flyweights are bummed.
No, don't say that, Chu. Come on.
No, I'm joking, but...
No.
See, since... Like, if Chocolatito was any other weight class, you'd be getting praised to high heaven. He gets one loss and everybody's just forgot about him.
That's just
he got two.
That's just boxing, though, Chu.
No, two.
It happened to Roy Jones though too. I mean, when he got knocked out by Tarver and Johnson, similar. But
Roy Jones, just like Chocolatito, wasn't even like the weight class where he got knocked out in. You know what I mean? He was going through the weights, and then eventually he came up short.
Yeah, we're guilty of having short memories in boxing. Most boxing fans, it's like, what have you done for me lately? And as soon as you get a loss, people forget about you.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Ronda Rousey. Like, I know it's MMA, but Ronda Rousey, like, put women's MMA in the map. And then here's Chocolatito putting the tiny wee flyweight guys in the map. And look,
he's not gonna get to enjoy the fruits of his labor. The other fighters are.
Not unlike Prince Nazim Ahmed, you know. He kind of put the featherweights on the map, and then,
right. Yeah, that's actually a really good comparison, Chu. The Prince Nassim. Except obviously, Chocolatito's body of work is so much more extensive than Prince Nassim. So.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of paving the way for the mainstream, it's similar.
Right. And by the way, Chu, I wasn't laughing at your Ronda Rousey comparison because it's actually apt. I was just laughing because I'm sure our listeners don't give a fuck about Ronda Rousey, but
hey, she's in the WWE now, man. She's resurrecting that career, baby.
Sure.
I like Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
I'm in the minority, I know.
Cam, do you like Ronda Rousey?
Nope.
Okay.
That's a good question, actually. When's the next Mystic, man? I think it's been about a year, has it not?
I'd love to do a show again, but this is a boxing podcast, so I don't know why you're bringing that up. That's
Speaking of boxing,
Mystic Man's been dead since McGregor took that supreme L.
Have you guys been watching Ryan Garcia, Kingray?
Yes.
He looks a beast, eh?
Yeah, no, come on, Chu. I can definitely see why, but he has incredibly fast hands. He might have some of the fastest hands I've seen, but I mean, he's the type of guy who I think will look absolutely incredible against lower level opposition, but he's not technically all that sound. Like when he throws all those combinations. His hands sometimes aren't in the right places. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Amir Khan in his early stages. And I know I'm going to sound
about him too.
Completely by accident.
But one more thing to say, Chu. I'm going to sound like such a douchebag for saying this, and I hate when other people say it, but I've actually seen Ryan spar a lot over at 10 Goose Gym in Van Nuys here in California, and I've seen him get clipped a couple of times, and he doesn't have the best chin. So I think that's going to expose itself later on the road when he has better competition.
Well, if you know his story, apparently he was completely trained by his dad, like, as in never entered the boxing gym until late as a teenager. And he only goes to the bar. So I think the story is quite unique. It's almost like Frankenstein's monster. It's like the dad has been watching some YouTube videos. Apparently, the dad is not a boxer. Am I saying that? So he's basically just completely self-taught his son. The son only goes into spa.
Enzo and Joe
He's got a
Calzaghe.
gift from God.
Similar story.
I don't care.
No, I mean, I hear you too, but don't you also wouldn't you also concede that there are certain guys who just look absolutely spectacular against lower level opposition, but there's just so many variables that we still don't know about them, especially what that style of is when you're that aggressive and you rely that much on your hand speed. I feel like it can get a little bit dangerous against rugged guys. You know, it's kind of like Linares when Linares was a top prospect and he fought a guy like DeMarco. You know, when you face that level of guy, that kind of exposes, you know, what level you're truly at, in my opinion.
The eye test. You know, I used to criticise Niota for this, but the eye test. If anyone listening to this has never heard of Ryan Garcia Kingsley, go YouTube his fights. Because I watched one fight and then I watched all his fights. He's just that kind of boxer. And then you look at the comments underneath, it's like everyone knows they're watching like the next Oscar De La Hoya, the next Shane Mosley. He's that kind of talent. That's what I think. I personally think he's gonna go up and down the weight classes and just win.
Right, but the thing is, we don't know what his chin is like. That's the thing about boxing that's so different than any other sport. It's like you can use the eye test for, you know, basketball players, for soccer players, or for football players. But the thing with boxing is that chin is that other aspect that is so crucial, and just punch resistance in general.
He's
Some
a
people
kid.
just don't have that in it.
What is he, 18? It's like,
I think he's 19.
19,
He's 19.
See when
Yeah.
A wind could knock me over. You know what I mean? I don't have that man strength.
No, that's fair, but chin to me is innate. Chin is different. It's different than strength. It's either you have it or you don't. I think so. Chin.
I mean, Andre Ward got knocked down a couple of times.
I mean, Benavidez is the same age as him, and he's at the very least showing a good chin.
Benavidez? Isn't Benavidez like 21? 22?
David? No, he's 20, I think.
But Ryan to me is like a couple, actually a lot of notches below Benavidez in terms of his progression. But I definitely see the talent though. I mean, like his hand speed is fucking insane.
You know what? Benavidez is 21. You were right. No.
His hand speed
Even with him, you know, he didn't really take a step up until Medina. That was a big one for him too. So.
Yo, Lim, are you on the hands free or are you on the phone?
I'm on the phone.
I don't know, we're getting an echo every time you don't speak. We're getting an echo. But, can we just quickly move on? 'Cause we've still got a few other fights to talk about.
Yeah, go for it.
Neil, just want to finish off Superfly undercard?
Yeah. And the undercard is actually really good. I think Quadri versus Arroyo. Arroyo didn't necessarily look all that great when he fought Chocolatito, but I do think that the fact that, you know, his soul got snatched, literally, in that fight, it may have had a little bit to do with that. I did think that he gave him, at the very least, some trouble. And he's a big puncher. You know, he's one of the bigger hitters at the lower weights. So, you know, considering how open and loosey-goosey Quadras is with his style, I mean, he could not just walk into one, he could run into one. And, it could get real interesting real fast. You know, Arroyo is, the two, it's kind of funny because the two of them actually could have fought a couple of times as amateurs had they not been like a weight class apart, because they both won medals in a lot of the same tournaments. But I think it's a really good fight between those two. I think it'll be better than it would necessarily, a lot of people would be led to believe on paper, because of that. And then Dani Nietes versus Juan Carlos Revico is a great fight. Nietes is one of those guys like a Gonzalez, and has been around actually even longer than Chocolatito, that's been plugging away, only has one loss, over 40 wins. But he's a 3-time world champion, and I don't necessarily want to say that like, oh, he hasn't gotten his just due, because a big part of that is because his promoter Alavia Mor was a little bit he was like overly protective of Nietes, and so he didn't get him those big fights with Giovanni Segura and Ivan Calderon and Chocolatito himself back when they were really like kind of hot, like around 2010, 2012, around in that era. But otherwise, he's dominated almost everybody that he's fought against. Those being a lot of the similar type of top level fighters that Gonzalez himself fought. he didn't destroy them in as emphatic of a fashion, but he's a bit more of like a boxer puncher as opposed to like, that kind of swarming style. Very good fighter. He's fighting a very good opponent in Carlos Revico, a fighter that actually might beat him. Revico's only losses were to another 3-weight champion, Kazuto Ioka, who is, on the shelf for the time being because of family issues, and his family is his promoter and his manager. So that's a big part of the reason for that. It's unfortunate that happens sometimes. But I think Nietes versus Revico actually could be a bit of a show stealer if not for the fact that I'm sure that Srisaket Estrada is going to be, fight of the year candidate-esque. And then unfortunately untelevised is Brian Valoria versus Artem Delakian for the vacant title that Ioka actually just vacated because of his family and promotional issues. So Valoria is getting another shot at the title. He's another guy that's been around for forever. He's the last kind of man standing from the 2000 Olympic U.S. class. And, him versus Delakian. Delakian's kind of I don't necessarily want to say amateur star, guy from the Ukraine, but he wasn't lighting the world on fire and so far as winning medals, he lost a couple of times to your Zoshimings, your I'm Not Wrongs, those guys, your McWilliams Arroyos in the amateurs, and so he never quite got over the hump. And ultimately, I think he's not going to get over the hump against Valoria. I think he fights a little bit too much of that amateur kind of hands down, like I'm going to hit you with one shot and then run around the ring style. And I think Valoria's going to nail him and knock him out.
Perfect. Thank you, Nikki. Same night in Nuremberg, Germany. Leon touched upon it earlier. Callum Smith versus Jürgen Bremer. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I've got Callum Smith. Callum Smith just too tall for the weight class. Jürgen Bremer's got power. He's got a nice right hand, but I just got Callum Smith winning this. I think he'll. Jürgen Bremer's tough and he's crafty, but he's old. He's getting on a bit. I don't even think Callum Smith's going to need the knockout, even though it's in Germany. I definitely think Callum Smith will win comfortably.
What do you think, Nikki?
I got Smith by a close decision. I actually thought Bremer looked a lot better than I expected at 168, and I think he's gonna give Smith a couple of scares here and there. But I think Smith is good enough. But even though he hasn't necessarily looked as good recently, I think a lot of that is fighting to the level of competition. I think he'll fight up to the level of Bremer and defeat him.
Lim, is it worth even asking you? Do you give a shit? Lim.
For what?
Jürgen Bremer versus Callum Smith. Your silence says everything. I favour Smith. I think he should just be able to outbox him. I don't know Nailta's point about Bremer looking good. I was actually impressed, with how he performed against Brandt in the quarterfinal, but Brandt was pretty poor. He didn't really offer much. I was shocked that Bremer even made the weight because he's campaigned at light heavyweight for so long, and at the weigh-in he did look like basically a walking skeleton. But fight night, he didn't look affected. He didn't look drained or anything. He is a very left-handed southpaw. Everything just comes from the left hand. There's not much of a jab. He's just trying to shoot that and set up that straight straight left down the pipe. So
fight night, his build kind of reminded me of like Kell Brook, where it's like, he struggled to make the weight, but when he put that shit back on, that was
he looked okay.
Yeah. he was muscle bound as hell. Like you can see every freaking anatomy chart shit. You can see every striation and all that.
Yeah.
What did you ask me for?
If you had any thoughts on Bremer versus Callum Smith?
I'm going with my boy Callum Smith. I've been a fan of Callum Smith since the beginning of his journey, especially with the Smith brothers. I think that's a really special storyline that not enough people give credit for. To see four brothers all become world level superstars in the sport of boxing is something that we should all herald. And the fact that it's kind of going under the rug, so to speak, is really a damn shame.
All right, thank you, Lim. What next? Naota, first of March, rematch, Luis Neri versus Shinsuke Yamanaka. First match was it was good, man. It was a shootout. Neri had...
Wait, did you say Luis Arias?
Luis Neri.
Ari. I thought Arias, the guy who fought Danny Jacobs.
No. Luis Neri. First fight against Yamanaka was a good one. His fight in between against Arthur Villanueva was a shootout. Nilton, what do you think? Do you think the rematch will go the same way as the first?
I do. I think that Neri's, I kind of have the feeling like Neri can get Yamanaka out of there sooner, but I do also feel like Yamanaka has that do or die mentality. I think he was really upset when they stopped it the first time, and so he's probably gonna have that mentality like he's gonna have to kill me to beat me this time. So, I think Neri's gonna probably be beating on Yamanaka for a little while in there. I think Yamanaka will probably give him a better fight because of the fact that he's looking to try and get that get back. The fact that Neri, fucked up his, record-breaking kind of run on, for as far as being the longest reigning champion in the sport and all that stuff. And, even though I guess Yamanaka, he has the ring belt back now, but not the WBC version. He has to beat Neri in order to get that back now. But, I don't know what's going to happen with regards to the whole drug testing stuff. If he's on randomized right now, Neri, that's supposedly what WBC said they were going to be doing for him. But, all things being equal, I think that Neri's just going to knock Yamanaka out again. And even if, you could theoretically, reverse the decision and say like, oh, well, Neri was on PEDs and that's the only reason why I beat Yamanaka, you can't reverse the damage that he actually did to the man in the ring, which, he took some serious punishment before it was stopped. So, yeah, I can't see him coming back from that.
Chu, if you've not seen Luis Neri, definitely checking him out. His 2 fights with the above Yamanaka and Villanova. He's just come forward, high output, aggressive, but he's a bit fragile. He can get hit. He can go down.
Mini James Kirkland.
Yeah, definitely.
Mini James Kirkland.
I know you don't favour those lower weights, but definitely check him out. Too.
Yeah, it's going to say. Which weight class is it?
Bantamweight, 118.
Just about.
That's your level. That's your line in the sand. But let's move on to Saturday, 3rd of March in Brooklyn. Got Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz for his WBC heavyweight title. Andre Durrell versus Jose Utagaze, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. And Jamal Charlo, who Lim will probably chime back in for against Hugo Centeno Jr. So
yeah, I'm good, Chu. I'm good.
Chu,
are you okay, Chu?
Is he okay?
Is he okay?
Is he okay?
All right. Don't all gang up on me, man. Calm down.
Yeah.
Is he okay though?
Keep running your mouth. Hey, Chu, Hey, Chu, is that Lubin's boy Cam on the line right now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Chu, what do you think of Wilder versus Ortiz?
I think this is a shocking cherry pick by Deontay Wilder. I don't know what he's thinking. I think even though you don't get tested positive for steroids, they're still in your system for years to come. I mean, guys actually make a habit of getting on them, then getting off them, then getting over that rough period, like detox almost, and then you've still got that steroid strength, if you know what I mean. So I think even skill wise, King Kong Ortiz is so much better than Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is sloppy. He's got a beast of a right hand, but I mean that's about it, in my opinion. He's got no distance control, shoddy footwork. The fuck is that?
Damn, mute yourself.
And
I'm good.
The thing in Ortiz is, can he go past 6 rounds? That'll be the thing. So I think King Kong Ortiz early, or Deontay Wilder late. I've just got a funny feeling that they've got too much money on Wilder. Ortiz is going to have to kill him to get a decision.
Lim, what do you think? Lim, what do you think of Wilder versus Ortiz?
Is he okay though?
I just want to talk about my boy Jamal, so get back to me when you guys talk about Jamal versus Hugo.
Nikki, your thoughts on Wilder versus Ortiz?
This fight is really interesting to me because it's like I could see it going any which way, because there's so many question marks about Deontay Wilder, and there's a few about Luis Ortiz too, as to if his best performances were because of, performance enhancing drugs, or if he's on them now, or if he's not, or which ones are he on, and if there is the residual effects of them, as Chu mentioned, or maybe he's still in the detox phase or something like that. I do think that he's gonna come and he's gonna bring it. The fact that he just straight up called Wilder a bitch to his face and he really doesn't even speak English otherwise. I think he's at the very least gonna, give him a tough time of it. The other thing is, Wilder, he's got pretty quick hands. As wild as he is, he has very fast hands. So something that's kind of hard to account for. Even if Luis Ortiz may be technically more savvy, I think the hand speed and the length could be troublesome for him. I mean, he has had trouble with guys that are able to stick and move in the past. Even if Wilder doesn't necessarily do it in such an educated manner. But it's an interesting fight to me, man. It could be it could be a shootout. It could be don't blink and either or both guys hit the canvas. There's just so much power in there. And not enough chin from where I stand. So I honestly, it's hard for me to call. I kind of lean towards Chu with regards to there's too much money on the line for Wilder and there could be some funny business going on. I think there has been some funny business going on in the background with regards to them kind of messing around with Ortiz and who knows, they may drug him before the fight or something weird. It's hard for me not to favor Wilder to actually win the fight. But I think that Ortiz stands an excellent chance of potentially exposing Wilder, knocking him out, and or maybe even outboxing him and knocking him out.
Yeah, but this is completely out of character for Wilder. You need to give Deontay Wilder credit, first of all, for taking such a tough fight when you're just on the horizons of money fight with Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury. Either one of those fights would sell, and then you're taking a Cuban.
But do you think it's a tough fight because the heavyweight division is such shit, or do you actually think it's actually a good fight that Deontay picked? Out of reasons of actually trying to improve himself. Because I don't think Ortiz has looked good in quite some time. And you can say he didn't get up for his last fight, but I thought he looked like fucking shite.
Well, did he look like shit because he was off the steroids? I mean, that's the thing.
Well, I thought his last fight he looked fine, but I mean, I'd say against Malik Scott he did it.
I mean, we would have to presume that he's off the juice for this fight as well, right?
Deontay Wilder says he doesn't care if he's on it or off it.
Yeah, but he also said, I hope that he's not on it so that we can fight. So that,
exactly.
If he tests positive again, that fight is off.
Exactly. If he doesn't care, I mean, that's fine. You'd have to fight him in the parking lot of Barclays, but we won't actually be able to watch it.
Deontay's maybe got delusions about how good he is. Yeah. I respect him though. I respect him.
Well, hey, who has Mike Tyson beat? Who has Mike Tyson beat? Chu? The Wilder is just too fast for him. He would knock him out.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about specimen, there's not many boxing heavyweights that tall, that athletic, that much power, that explosive. It's just that he can't really box. He started off late. He's got all the physical attributes, but he's not really kind of learned how to use them yet. But you can't question his heart. He's fighting Ortiz. I'm surprised. I'm really surprised he's fighting him. When that fight was announced, and then I think they tried to fight not long ago, and then they called it off. He's went back to him again. It's like he really wants to fight Ortiz. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, Ortiz got popped for the second time, didn't he? And then Wilder ended up fighting Stavern. And I don't know how he can pop him and then let him fight for the belt again, but that's a bit crazy. But
that's dodgy.
I kind of agree bits with all of you. I agree with Lim about Ortiz not looking great. If you look through his resume, I guess his best performance was against Bryant Jennings, but old Tony Thompson, Malik Scott ran around and you couldn't really pin him down. David Allen's not that good. Really, I'd have to favor Wilder. I'm just unsure of how Ortiz's chin is. If he's got a decent chin, then it's going to be like a 12-round decision. And Wilder's going to treat it like the first Taverns fight. And that's how I probably see it playing out, like the first Tavern fight, just keeping up at the end of the 1-2s, all out, and that's how I see it going.
Dude, Wilder just really confuses me as a person. Yeah, because I agree with you. I commend him for him willing to fight Ortiz after his issues with taking steroids, and I commend him for trying to make the Povetkin fight. You know, I don't really question his heart so much, but at the same time, he just says such stupid, outlandish things. You know, with the Tyson Fury, with the Tyson comment that Chu just mentioned, and him talking about, you know, Anthony Joshua not being a name in the States when he was on some Showtime special, I think a year or two ago, when he was walking down New York and nobody knew who the fuck he was. So nobody knows who Wilder is in America. So, you know, he just says so much stupid shit, and he's just so unproven. But at the same time, the heavyweight division is such shit that I actually think him versus Joshua is a 50-50 fight. Because I rewatched that Joshua versus Klitschko fight, and I forgot how fucking gassed Joshua was in the second half of that fight. So, I don't even know what to make of this entire division, for that matter.
Did they not recently say that he's not more well known because he's black? And I'm like, but what about Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis?
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to need more than a hockey mask to get...
When the funny thing about that is that whole thing about saying that, like, what you just said, and then also Joshua's not a name. Anthony Joshua was on Under Armour heads here in America. So I don't know what Wilder's getting at.
I think he's one of these people who needs to be kind of backs against the wall, almost kind of victimhood, to get yourself kind of riled up.
The world's against me.
Yeah, exactly. The world's against him. That's how he gets his energy.
Kind of like my boy Jamal Charlo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Charlo brothers. They're the definition of that me against the world type of mentality.
But I mean, that kind of attitude is kind of going to get you in trouble if you're going to fight a guy like Ortiz. Like, I think he's bit off more than he can chew.
Yeah.
Personally.
Alright, anyone else regarding this fight? Nope. Lim, go ahead with your boy Jamal versus Hugo, who you know quite well.
Yeah, it's funny. This fight is absolutely absurd. How is this how is this the fight for the interim title? I completely understand that this is more of kind of like a title that you do out of due process as a belt organization, because the assumption is that Canelo and Triple G, I think they're going to have a trilogy fight. So I don't think any of the contenders for the WBC are actually going to get a shot at either one for quite some time. So I get it. But Hugo, when he fought Aleem, wasn't that fight at 154 pounds?
No, it was 160.
It's at 160. Oh, yeah. Wow. So I guess I'm just an idiot. But regardless, Hugo is not even a top 10 160 pounder in my opinion. I thought he was getting his ass whooped against J-Rock, and I'm not a proponent of triangle theories by any stretch of the imagination, but within that fight against J-Rock, no, I'm not going to use it. What I'm going to say though is that there are levels. J-Rock was on another level compared to Hugo, and Jamal is on another level compared to J-Rock. So I just think Jamal's going to knock him the fuck out in a couple of rounds.
I agree.
And Drew, what do you just think about the Charlos in general? Because for me, I've turned full casual since you've been on the show, and honestly, the only thing that's keeping me interested in boxing is Canelo and the Charlo twins. You know, I'm all about that Lions Only movement. You know, like I try to talk like the Charlos. I recently bought some Lions Only jackets from the website, so I'm getting my Lions Only jacket that I'm going to do some shadow boxing in a couple of days. So I'll let you guys know about that. And I'm all about the H-Town movement. True, if you ever post anything on social media, make sure you use a hashtag OHB. That's what the Charlos represent, OHB. So OHB, hashtag Lions Only, hashtag We Eatin'. You dig?
Just before you give your view on the Charlos, Chew, I have to make people aware that Lim did screenshot me this jacket that he's ordered from the Lions Only camp, and it is probably one of the ugliest jackets I've ever seen in my life. But go ahead, Chew. What do you think of the Charlos?
So Lions Only that's their clothing line, yeah?
Yeah, and their catchphrase.
Right. Lines on line. Right, I'm going to get involved in that. You're going to see me walking the streets of Scotland with one of them. I'm proud of their transformation. They were kind of both known as, well, I think one of the brothers was a little bit more offensive than the other one, but they were both kind of safety first. What trainer did they go to? Is it Ronnie Shields? Is it one of them?
They were with him before, and now they're with
the boy Errol Spence's trainer.
Yeah, I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Let me clarify firstly, too, because I'm obsessed with the Charlos. I know everything about them. So they were both with Ronnie Shields over at Plexstream in Houston, because that's where they're from. And then Jamal Charlo is still with Ronnie Shields, but Jamal, who's a 154-pounder, moved to coach Derek James, who coaches Errol Spence, of course.
Oh, that's the other one.
Yeah.
Well, Errol Spence's Derek James.
Yeah, you dig, you feel me?
The only time in the last couple of years, Lim's got something right.
Yeah, you dig.
That is like dropping knowledge there.
Yep.
Derek James has done a wonderful job.
Yep.
He's turned on he's evolved. He had all the skills before, now he's got the killer instinct.
Yep.
Is he okay though? I mean, that is awesome, man. I mean,
that was the best moment.
Lubin, by the way? Who was pecking Lubin?
Did you not hear what Cam said? I'm not going to even go back because we've already said it so many times, but I think that was the best moment. I thought that was the best moment in 2017, too. That post-fight interview, man.
That knockout was, scary. Is he had a comeback fight? What?
Not yet.
Not yet.
He's in camp.
Is he?
Yeah. Is he okay though?
I'm good. Yeah, true, but that's pretty much it, bro. I love the Charlos, man. It's just something about those Houston, like, H-Town boxers and just athletes that, just kind of riles me up. True, would you ever get like a Charlo haircut where you shave the sides and then you kind of spike up the top and then you put the yellow stuff on the top? You dye it yellow on the top?
Jermaine on one cheek and then Jamal on the other cheek.
Lim's about to change his name to Danielle Charlin.
Damn, I wish I was a Charlo brother, man. I'd be so happy.
Danielle Charlin.
Oh, fucking hey. That'd be awesome. Exactly, the movement. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you guys have any, I don't know if you guys have any opinion on this fight at all, but, Hugo's just, he's getting this title shot because he's Mexican, honestly. He's a good looking Mexican kid. And he has good relationships.
I can actually explain exactly to you why he's getting the title shot.
He was once highly touted.
Because Yevgen Krytrov was the one that was in line to actually fight, Golovkin. And, Aleem upset him, then Centennial upset Aleem. So it's like Aleem was in line for it. So Centennial just kind of happened upon it. He was really supposed to lose the fight to Aleem, but he didn't, he didn't go with the script, and so that's how he got the shot.
You remember also Kevin Horn used to
because Krytrov was owed it, so Aleem
I see.
Kind of took the torch from him, and then Centennial took it from him.
Also, do know that Centennial has had like personal ties with with the Suleiman since he was like a young kid. And you're right, true. He was a highly touted prospect. Like when it was coming out, when he was real long, like people thought he was going to be like the next, golden boy, like Canelo, pretty much, but. It didn't necessarily pan out. But hey, who knows, man? If he beats Charlo, obviously he's going to be in that position. So,
I mean, if there's one thing that Centennial can do, it's punch. And Charlo hasn't necessarily fought anybody that's a monster, puncher like that. So, if he lands a clean one, it'll be interesting to at least see what Charlo's chin is like. I think it's solid though. I don't have any reason to believe that Jamal doesn't have a good chin, especially considering how fucking massive his skull is. But
this is at 160.
Yeah, that's true too. But I'm kind of in agreement with Ulim in terms of the result. I do think that Charlo is going to stop Centennial.
Yeah, Charlo's a lot bigger than Hugo too. I mean, I always thought Hugo should have fought at 154 because even though he's a little bit taller than Jamal, he's very, very skinny. Exactly. He has no kind of muscle definition, whereas Jamal has. Don't even get me started on his muscle definition because it is everywhere. It is a lovely sight to behold.
You could see it when he fought against Sulechki, Marcel Sulechki, who himself is a guy that kind of goes between 154 and 160, and Sulechki was just stronger and bullied him.
See, in all fairness, like, people talk about Spence as being like the best American boxer or Crawford. It's probably Charlo, the Charlo that knocked out Lubin. Look at the guys he's beat. Look at the styles he's beat them in. You know what I mean? He's in boxing's toughest division, 140. 154. Beasts. Beasts. I can't remember what I used to say about the 154 division, but I used to say something about sharks. Yeah, I was like, a shark tank. There's a shark tank. I think 160 is kind of just there to be cleaned up. I mean,
the Charlos run the division, and for that reason, I'm out. It's a Shark Tank reference for everybody out there.
I mean,
no one watched Shark Tank, Nicky.
Golovkin doesn't want to see Charlo. I don't think so.
Quickly, Nicky, what's your pick for the Charlo Centeno?
Charlo by knockout.
Anyone else regarding this fight? I should just quickly talk about the Durrell versus Utagazu. I can't pronounce that name, sorry, I forgot. Rematch. Ukatazigi. I can't remember. Serious. It's not a good look, man.
What? Let's skip this.
Did you see the first fight, Chu? Or did you see
Did you see Uncle giving Uzcategui the 2-piece after his son got knocked out?
Yeah, I seen that, yeah. I didn't see the fight itself, but I seen that.
Well, put it this way, Chu. Uzcategui pretty much beat Durrell's ass, and then he slept him with a what was it, like a 3-punch combo, with one and a half of those punches coming after the bell. But he was pretty much he was beating the crap out of Durrell that first fight.
What do you think the same thing's going to play out in the second, Nailton?
Durrell was starting to do a little bit better in certain spots up until he got clipped and knocked the fuck out. But kind of like I said with Neri and Yamanaka, you can't undo that damage. He got knocked out. He got concussed in that fight against Uzcategui, on top of the times that he's been concussed in the past. Regardless of however you feel it was the legitimacy with Abraham. I think Uzcategui he's gonna knock him out. Maybe 7th, 8th round, something like that.
Nice. Chu, Lim, any thoughts on this, or should we move on?
No, man, I'm just super excited for Jamal to be fighting in Barclays again. I can't wait for that. And I'm going to be ready, dude. I'm going to be ready for that. I want him to headline eventually. So that's the ultimate goal, man. I got Charlo by knockout.
Same night. It's a shame that they're going up against each other, but main events, Madison Square Garden, Kovalev versus Mika Halkin, and Dimitri Bivol versus Sullivan Barrera. Probably start on the latter fight, too, because that's the better of the two.
It's the main event, really.
Yeah, obviously, you've kind of been away for a while. Have you seen much in Bivol? And if you have, what do you think?
Of course, Bivol, yeah. I seen him fight that English guy. What's his name?
In Monaco?
Australia.
Yeah.
Australian dude, Broadhurst.
Oh, that's it, yeah, Broadhurst, yeah. Bivol looked like $1 million. I think he's going to knock him out, Barrera.
I don't know, Barrera's a good dude, man. He kind of needs to get dropped for him to kind of wake up a bit and then start fighting well. But Barrera's not a shit fighter. I think this is going to be a very high caliber, high quality fight, man.
We don't know how good, in all honesty, we don't know how good Bivol is, but...
Yeah, we don't.
You just got a funny feeling, don't you?
Yeah, he just looks really scary. But, like, not scary enough to the point where, like, I wouldn't approach him at a bar, because I definitely would, because I'd be so intrigued. But I would definitely still be scared, to taking him up to my room.
I mean, Barrera for Ward, right? Just another one, but...
Barrera, yeah, he did fight Ward. Yeah, Ward. Did Ward knock him out, or did he just knock him down and then win a decision?
Ward, he knocked him down, and it was like a balanced knockdown. He didn't really hurt.
Yeah.
So I mean, he can be outboxed. I know it's Andre Ward, but just when I've watched Barrera in the past, I thought he's kind of predictable, strong, tough, can punch. But I don't think he's got the intelligence to beat Bivol.
Yeah, Bivol's actually really good. Bevel's slick. He's got skills. He is actually a little bit undersized, I think, for that weight division, but he makes it up with his reflexes, surprisingly. I think when you see Bevel, you don't expect him to be very athletic, but he actually has a pretty unique style. His stance is extremely wide, which is actually a reason why, you'd be concerned against a potential matchup against Kovalev, but he makes up for it with his reflexes. So I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue against a guy like Barrera, who, like you mentioned, is basic. But when he steps up in competition against a guy like Kovalev, which I hope is going to happen, just based on the way that this card is structured, I could definitely see that being an issue for him moving forward.
Nikki, what do you think?
I do favor Bivol. I think it's going to be a really good fight, though. I think Barrera is definitely going to answer a lot of the questions that we've had about Bivol. I think Barrera is a better fighter than he was against Andre Ward. I think he's improved significantly since that fight. That was a big step up fight for him. Before that, he really hadn't fought anybody of real note in terms of actual caliber of the opponent. And so that was kind of his baptism by fire, so to speak. Even though Ward isn't exactly like a destroyer like that, I think he learned some things from that fight and then after that fight. And he's shown himself to be a slightly more versatile boxer than he was then, considering the fact that he was able to get up and outbox Joe Smith, the fact that Valera had him hurt in the early goings and he was able to outbox him. I do think that Bivol is definitely a better boxer than either of those two guys and also a bigger puncher, and he places his shots better. So I do favor Bivol to win, but I do think that Barrera is going to give him a fair bit of trouble along the way. I think he'll be able to change up just enough to give him a lot of difficulty every round, but not necessarily enough to win the round. So that's why I favor Bivol to win.
See, one thing I will say about Bivol is, I'm not saying he looks weak, because he doesn't, but it's like his power, it doesn't match his body, if you know what I mean. He must have really heavy hands. But I'm not,
yeah.
He's obviously got good technique and stuff. He's obviously got good technique and stuff.
Yeah, you can hear it when he lands a clean shot. There is a definite thump.
Yeah, even his jabs. There's just certain boxers who are just really well balanced, where they can kind of alter the way that they extend on a punch to make it thud with every single shot, and that's something that Bivol definitely has.
Yeah,
I think what I'm trying to say is he doesn't look like a bodybuilder, but his power is just it's unreal.
Yeah,
it's sort of like Golovkin.
Yep, it is kind of like that technique. His technique too. When you watch him on the heavy bag, the way that he just kind of really gets into the bag, so to speak, he really pushes through, whereas most fighters nowadays, when they hit the heavy bag, they just kind of slap it. They just tap it, kind of like Cam does, But Bivol actually does it with full force, like a real man.
Nah, bro, I'll get full rotation into that shit, man. Don't hate, bro.
Oh, okay. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. Cam, what about you? What are your expectations for the fight?
I'm favouring Bivol. I've been on the bandwagon before you, so,
No, you haven't. No, you weren't.
I know
I was
more
also on
about
the
him than you
bandwagon
do.
before you.
Nope. But yeah,
Nope.
I think Barrera could cause him some issues. Barrera's decent kind of mid to long range with the straight punches, and if he does get up close, his uppercut is quite effective. But overall, I think Bivol maybe be able to break him down late and stop him possibly. I could see it being a 12-round decision, but I could see a late stoppage. It's the only thing I've said it on previous shows when Bivol's fought, but just, when he kind of gets a guy hurt or stunned, he'll just stand there and shoot punches into their guard rather than just take a step to the side and find an angle where he can land a cleaner shot. So that's the only kind of criticism I've got of Bivol, but apart from that, I'm a fan.
Bivol reminds me of a better version of Lubin. So that's just kind of like my expectations on him as a fighter. I just think he's really, really, I think he's going to be the goods.
All right. Fuck you, Dan.
Well, he does, what's his special effects though?
Who, Bivol?
Yeah, in what sense? His power.
I think if he fought like an American guy who's got all the tricks.
But who? You know?
That's the question, yeah.
Who said it? Who was that at 75?
I'm saying Bivol fights in straight lines.
No, I think with Bivol,
Like a Ward.
I think he's like one of those
Ward.
all-rounders. Like, he's not amazing at anything, but he's good at almost everything. So he hasn't really got a superpower in the sense you're talking about, but I think he's just overall very good.
Yeah, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah. No, I hear you, but unfortunately, there's not too many of those guys at 75 at the moment. With Ward being retired, I mean, if he fought Ward, like let's say Bivol panned out to his full potential, I'd probably still pick Ward to beat him.
Yeah.
So,
but anything else?
Ward is actually really, really good. You know, even though we love to shit on him, and for valid reasons, a lot of times Ward is very good. So,
yes.
Yeah. So yeah, Kovalev versus this other dude. Do you guys know anything about him? I know he's like 21-1 from the HBO preview that I've seen, but do you guys know anything about his record in general and how much stock we should put into it?
Nope. I recognize a few names on his resume, but I've not got around to watching him.
The only way I'll defend this fight is if HBO specifically made it so that their goal is to make Bivol versus Kovalev.
Yeah. If that doesn't happen, then this fight is bullshit.
Yeah, he's a pretty good fighter from what I've seen of him, like on the video on YouTube and stuff. He's a southpaw. He's reasonably defensive. You know, he's actually a little bit more defensive than your typical Eastern European fighter, quote unquote. So in that way, I think he can give Kovalev some difficulty, like in terms of being able to really find a beat on him. But I don't think he has enough pop himself in order to really keep Kovalev honest and keep him from just being able to kind of bull forward and dumb it down, so to speak, and beat him up. Because I do think that Mikhalkin, he might be one of those guys that may actually be a little bit more savvy on the technical sense than Kovalev is. But it's just the lack of pop, the lack of snap, the lack of kind of explosiveness. He doesn't necessarily have that in addition to kind of the defensive skill to make it the maximum use of it in order to be able to either outpoint or potentially stop Kovalev, like hit him with a blind shot or what have you. So really, it's a fight that's meant for Kovalev to win in order to build up him versus the winner of the co-feature.
True.
Yeah, obviously Kovalev is my boy, but
actually, that's what I wanted to get into. Obviously, the two fights with Ward and stuff. That I presume you went back and saw them or saw them at the time.
I think the last time I was on the pod, I think the second Ward fight just happened, if I'm right in saying, and yeah, I was really surprised. I thought Kovalev would win that fight. Ward done great. There's no other way of saying it. I mean, you could probably tell by the hurt in my voice. It's just the way it was, but you need to give Ward credit. What I'm not happy about is, I think the first fight was questionable, very questionable. You should give him another fight. You fought one of the most dangerous guys in boxing twice. Maybe Ward's within his rights just to walk away. He doesn't need to fight him a third time, but I think after the first fight, where Kovalev won, they got robbed. Yeah. And then you get the second
most of us
fight.
thought Kovalev won, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's 1-1. I think you need a decider. But
I can't remember that last show when you won exactly, but do you look at Kovalev a bit differently now, or do you still see him the same? Like, does the kind of reaction he had to the low blows and like his kind of whininess in that fight, has that changed your view on him?
It's sort of like Matisse when he got beat.
Yeah, you have to.
The mystique is gone. He's vulnerable. You can get to him now. I was surprised. It's not that Andre Ward beat him. It's the way he beat him. He dogged him. He took it to the body. Just a really good strategy. I mean, you've got to give Ward credit because I thought Kovalev won that first fight, but Ward goes right back, learns his lesson, and then beats him at his own game. I mean, a lot of dirty stuff from Ward, but I mean, it's a fight. you can't really fucking complain that much.
Yeah.
Because Kovalev's done plenty of that shit before as well, so,
Yeah.
you know.
I think one thing I will say is that I actually still would put stock in Kovalev becoming even the best guy at 175. I still think he has that potential, just because what's different between him and Matisse is that Matisse got beat by Danny Garcia. You know, Ward is on a completely different level than Danny Garcia. But I think you're absolutely right. You have to question Kovalev to a certain extent because it was his absolute kind of ferocity and just the scariness of him that really, I think, intimidated a lot of his opponents. And anytime you lose in that fashion, a lot of that does get stripped away from you. And I'm really, really hoping that they do make Kovalev versus Bivol, because if they do, I hope that they continue to kind of make these fights against, you know, guys and from Eastern Europe, against our boy on PBC. What's his name? The dude from Canada that was supposed to fight Barrera before.
Adonis?
What's his name? Yeah. No, not Adonis. The other dude.
Beterbiev.
Yeah, Beterbiev. Yeah, and like guys like Gavodsnich. I want to see all these guys in there against, you know, someone like Kovalev, because for Kovalev, there really isn't a huge fight for him to make unless it's, I guess, him versus Stevenson. But, you know, Stevenson's obviously caught up with Badu Jack problems. So, you know, I want to see all of these Eastern European fighters just go at it.
I tell you what, after having a look at Usyk there at the weekend, I'm not, you know, the jury's out on all of them. You know, I think everyone's riding this Lomachenko wave that all these guys are beasts. I tell you what, man, I'm not too sure. I think the bubbles burst a wee bit. Like it wasn't that
it's like the stock market.
Yeah, it's like the Dow Jones has fallen.
Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin.
Exactly, we got to invest in cryptocurrency now. But who is the cryptocurrency of boxing right now, too?
The fucking Eastern Bloc cryptocurrency is fucking dropped big time. Who's the cryptocurrency?
Wow. Who should we invest in? Is it the Japanese?
Invest in British, the sterling.
The sterling is a fucking bitch. I do.
Yeah, the yen's only good in domestic markets.
I think you only already proved otherwise, huh? True.
I know you'd rebuttal
that. So invest in cryptocurrency. The dollar's very weak. Yeah, absolutely. Our fighters are.
The sterling is strong, getting stronger. You know, the euro's weak.
Yeah, but the euro's consistent though. The euro is probably the safest bet, wouldn't you say?
What's the Russian currency?
I don't think they have a currency. They just kind of play it by ear.
For all the listeners, do not listen to our currency advice.
Don't invest in fuck all.
We need the Dwyer, what do you call it? Intro. This is only an explanation from a stranger online.
We should do a show where we just compare fighters to cryptocurrencies. That would be amazing. I think you can make the case that Sor Rongvasai is Bitcoin. You know, because a couple of years ago he was, you know, valued at like, you know, 1 cent to a single Bitcoin, and now he's at like, you know, $16,000. So
yeah.
So who would Dogecoin be then?
Dogecoin, jeez Louise, who's another kind of highly, maybe like a Ryan Garcia?
Oh yeah, okay, there you go.
Bad chin.
Yeah.
Just get dropped instantly.
Exactly, it's volatile. You don't know what the next course of action is going to be. So
exchange is very, very fast, but can get dropped at an instant.
Exactly, yeah. And like his talent is very easily discernible. Like Bitcoin is universal in its nature. Ryan Garcia is universally loved, but again, it is that volatility that is kind of pains me to decide. So not too sure. Yeah, but anyways, going back to the Kovalev 175 pound division and its current situation, it's 175 is like, I think, the division that's in most flux right now. I just think there's a lot of 140, but I say 175 because I feel like that the prospects, the top level guys at 75 are better than 140.
I would actually love World Boxing Super Series next year at 175. That would be awesome. Man.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be real nice. I mean, although no, never mind. I forget. Fuck what I was gonna say. Yeah, I like it too. No, I was gonna say it seems like these guys are at the very least kind of starting to line up to fight each other. But then I was thinking, like, you know what? No, they're not.
We should do our own World Series. Ken, we should do our own World Series of boxing, just between all of us.
And put it on Patreon. And do, and do preview videos. Call out.
I want to fight Tom O'Brien.
The only guy who'll donate is Suleiman.
Any other fights, Kim?
Yep, just the same night over here in Sheffield. Kell Brook returns at 154 against Sergey Rebchenko, and there's an undercard, but it's pretty shitty according to Hearn these days. Terrible undercards, but Chew, your boy Brook's back. Do you think he can campaign and do anything decent at 154?
No, he's too
fragile.
He's too fragile. Yeah, he's too small height-wise. I mean, he's got the power, he's got the skills, but like some of these 154 guys are really tall and really lengthy. Like Andrade. Imagine if he fought Andrade.
I like how you say Andrade.
Well, Andrade's at 160 now, though, too.
Yeah.
Vanes Martirosyan.
Vanes Martirosyan. Hey, dude, you don't need to be that big to catch Vanes' nose. You know, that thing is fucking huge. You know, you can be Ryan.
Kilbrick's eye.
Catch him, you know.
What about Kilbrick's eye?
That is true. Yeah, if you had to pick one deficiency, would you rather have Kilbrick's eye or Vanes Martirosyan's nose?
Oh my God.
Well, at least you can see it, eye.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, at least you can't see it the eye if you hit it. Mind you, if you hit the nose, you can't breathe, so. It's like you're fucked either way, man. Personally, Rebchenko's actually underrated. You know, I don't know if he's still with Ricky Hatton as his centre, but, you know, he's a gritty kind of gritty fighter. But Kilbrick's just a level above. So I'll go Kilbrick all day.
Stoppage.
Why not?
Go on, Naota.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Brook's career is actually gonna be pretty fun to watch from here on out because of the fact that he doesn't necessarily have those like overwhelming physical advantages over his opponents. Like even some of the B-level light middleweights, I think, will be able to kind of muscle up with Brook and prevent him from just bullying him, grabbing him, and all that stuff. But I do think that he is a level above Rebchenko, and he'll stop him late. But I think Rebchenko will give him some issues. You know, he can hit himself a bit, and like I was kind of alluding to before, he's a pretty tough, strong guy. So I think he'll give him some trouble. And I think Brook's going to be in some pretty fun fights though at 154.
I don't know, Naota, that I just see Hearn setting him up with this obviously kind of first fight at 154, but he's going to either try and get Saddam Ali or some type of vacant title, because I don't think Brook's got too long left really. With those two injuries around the eye socket, he's not going to be wanting to take a lot of shots.
Jarrett Hurd.
Exactly. I was just going to say, financially, this has nothing to really motivate in a fight. Any of the American champions, including Lara, so Saddam Ali and Amir Khan, I think are the fights that he's going to be targeting.
Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't want any of that smoke with Jamil Charlo.
Exactly.
Why Saddam Ali?
Oh, man.
Because he's a weak champion.
Because he's got the WBO belt.
Yeah, he beat Miguel Cotto.
I've been out of the game. I missed that completely, man.
Yeah, you gotta see it, man. It's a good performance for Ali.
Ali was not even in that fucking division.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was a junior welterweight. They dragged his ass up, and he ended up beating Miguel Cotto.
Rocked him every round.
In his final farewell fight.
Exactly, another bum-ass fighter that Cam loves.
Loved.
Might we be able to call Miguel Cotto Lubin Sr.?
Come on, bro.
Or the precursor to Lubin?
Are you starting on this?
Fighters Cam loves just turn up shite. I mean, Lubin, Khan, fucking Cotto. The list just goes on and on and on.
At least I like exciting fighters.
Canelo's not exciting.
You
The
just
Charlos aren't exciting.
You just like
The Jamel and Jamal aren't exciting. Come on, bro.
Canelo's just redheaded.
Shit, bro.
You gotta be fair though, Limbs. Only recently that the Charlos like have become exciting. Like
No. I was a huge Jamel fan. Go back to the tapes, man. I think it was the second show we ever did. I was high as fuck on Jamel Charlo.
Which Charlo got dropped like very early on against like a C-level dude. One of them got
Jamel.
dropped. Yeah, man. See, that's suspect.
No, it was Jamal. It was Jamal, actually. Yeah. And the funny thing is, actually, like, I know I sound like a dumbass, tuning their horns, but I actually think Jamal and Jamel actually both pretty flawed fighters. I would actually pick Golovkin even at this stage and Canelo to beat Jamal right now, because I rewatched that Jamal versus Trout fight, and Jamal got hit by so many punches by Trout. So, you know, as much as I love my Lions, you know, I could still see them getting an L.
Getting poached.
I just think Boo Boo would be favored over Jamal, because I think Boo Boo can do more things than Jamal can at that weight.
Boo Boo.
As much as it hurts me to say. Yeah, Andrade.
Your daddy.
Hey, it's true. I've always wanted to say this to you. Adena Kane?
You did it again?
Yeah, Adena Kane.
You did it again?
Let's see. Yeah?
That's more Edinburgh.
Dude, yeah, oh really?
Mm.
Yeah, when we were in Glasgow, we met some cunts from Edinburgh, and that's what they taught us to say, so.
I didn't kind of like.
Adena Kane?
Nah,
Adena
much
Kane?
love to Josh Taylor. I mean, Scottish boxing's it's like a pendulum. It goes west coast, east coast.
Yeah. But the funny thing is that, I know Josh Taylor's from Edinburgh. He's from Edinburgh, right?
I think he's Preston.
But
Preston fans.
But he always fights in Glasgow, so.
Yeah, he doesn't always fight in Glasgow.
But his last two fights have been in Glasgow, right? Including the one coming up?
No, Vasquez was in Edinburgh.
Yep.
Ah, okay. Never mind. That point is entirely moot then. But, yeah, Cam, anything else?
I actually wanted to choose opinion on Josh Taylor and Cyclone dragging Humberto Soto out of the retirement home. Well, he's not actually retired, but, you know, older generation.
I think people forget how many fights Josh Taylor's had. He's not had many. He's about a dozen, something like that.
Yeah, like 12.
You know, people shouldn't be fooled by the O'Hara Davis fight. I mean, that was a good win, but I don't think O'Hara Davis is world class.
No.
Or even gatekeeper.
Nope.
So he's still got the L plates on. Will he be a world champion? I mean, what do you guys think?
I think so. I think he's very skilled.
No, definitely. I just think matchmaking wise, like, okay, you just fought Miguel Vasquez, good stoppage, good performance, but like, what's Humberto Soto really going to do for your career / progression?
Well, I think it's a learning fight. I think it's a learning fight because Soto is still, he's still a good boxer. You know, just he's a good fighter. Even at as advanced an age that he is, even though that he's fought over 70 times. Had a lot of mileage on the clock. Even when he fought Antonio Orozco, he gave him a lot of difficulty in that fight. I think he's a guy that isn't necessarily optimal. He's several weight classes and years beyond his best. But I think he's the type of guy that you get a lot of experience from fighting.
I mean, for the next fight, I want to see Josh Taylor versus the winner of the Garcia-Lipinets fight.
That's too soon. Like.
I know. I'm just fucking around. But I think I have a question for you too, Chu. Just regarding Cyclone Promotions, who do they have now that Frampton is gone? Is Taylor their best fighter?
I think so, man. I think that's it. I'm pretty surprised.
I don't know. If you're Taylor, like, how long do you stick it out with Cyclone? Because, I mean, is that really the best position to be in to get the fights that you want?
No, because if he went with Eddie Hearn, I think Eddie Hearn doesn't really know how to promote in Scotland. I'm not sure.
Especially without the ring car girls. Because I tell you, those two Cyclone girls at that Davies fight, man, they were both some of the highest quality that I've seen.
Man, they were so good that I don't want them to work anymore. I don't want them to work in Formula One. I don't want them. Let's not go to Liam's not. What is the problem though? Seriously, what is the problem?
No, that's. But
anyway, back to cycling. I mean, I think I've been reading up about Carl Frampton's actually going to sue Barry McGuigan. And after McGuigan sued Carl Frampton, so it's like mutual lawsuits. But Shane McGuigan was best man at Carl Frampton's wedding.
Jesus.
It's like, what the fuck happened? Like, what went on there? Did fucking Carl Frampton catch McGuigan in bed with his wife or something like that?
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing.
Like.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
It's a shame because I think Carl Frampton's needs Shane McGuigan. I mean, if anything, because Carl Frampton looked like shit.
Yeah.
I spoke about that. Carl Frampton looked like shit. He's last fight.
And one more thing. This is. I'm sorry, Drew. Please finish. I was going to ask you a different question.
No,
entirely
different. I'm finished with that.
No, I was just going to ask your take on Triple G Canelo. How you scored the first fight, your assessment of it, and secondly, what do you think of the rematch taking place in May?
So I think Canelo's going to win this rematch. I've been saying that. I thought Triple G won the first fight.
Yeah.
But Triple G didn't hurt him. He was missing with his right hand a lot. He was doing good with the jab. He was throwing a lot of punches, but I thought Canelo. The only way Canelo can go is up. I think Canelo's trying to do that Sugar Ray Leonard thing, putting the activity on the last 30 seconds and try and nick the rounds.
Oh.
But it doesn't really work. Because everybody with eyes can notice that you're not doing fuck all for 2 minutes. And he's kind of relying on his big name, I think, to try and, get what he got, which was a gift. But
did you have it that wide? Did you have a 8'4", 9'3", 7'5"?
8'4".
Okay.
8'4", but I don't know why you've had to wait a year before they fight again. Like that only helps Triple G.
Well, that's why. I think you answered the question. And also, I mean, to their credit, they are trying to capitalize on the Mexican holidays. So.
I bet. Can you not have one in September as well?
Yeah, I was going to ask
you, Lim. They fought in September.
Lim, you said earlier that, you think it'll be a trilogy. Do you see it, both fights obviously playing out this year, so we got the rematch in May, and then do you see the third fight happening in September? Again, capitalizing on the Mexican holiday.
Of course, yeah. As long as obviously neither fighter is substantially injured, I think that would be the expectation. Because for Golovkin, for Golovkin, the Billy Joe fight would make sense to become lineal and to retire. But I mean, if I'm Tom Loeffler, I wouldn't want that fight. You could pay a fifth of the purse against an easier matchup against Canelo. I would assume, just based on Billy Joe being a defensive-minded boxer. So I'd rather fight Canelo as many times as I possibly can and make as much money as I possibly can and just call it a day. Because obviously he doesn't want any of that smoke against my boy Jamal. So.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
No, just chew, man. If you have any kind of, any input or anything you want to discuss about anything, about boxing, about life, I don't know, religion, food,
give me,
your sex life, anything, man.
Give me 1 minute.
Oh, okay. He's got to think. I like it.
I've got to pee.
I wanted to mention something because I'm not sure if we'll have our next show before this fight takes place. It's on March 9th. Regis Prograis versus Victor Postol. I think Prograis is going to beat the living dog shit out of Victor Postol, and I think he's going to signal his come to prominence. And there's going to be a lot of people out there saying he just fought Terrence Crawford's leftovers because he's going to beat the fuck out of
Nikki.
Postol's going to get fucked up.
Nikki, can I interrupt, please?
Yeah.
Postal is out, man. It's Julius Ndungo versus Regis Prograis. Yeah, man.
Well, that just dropped today, or?
Yeah,
I just sparred Postal the other day at the walkout. I fucked him up, bro.
Oh damn!
Yeah,
Man, why'd you have to do it? Well, you know,
because I was watching some Charlo videos. I got overhyped,
you know
dog.
what? You know what? My point still stands. Because guess what? He's gonna knock the crap out of Ndongo even faster than he would have done to Post.
Yeah, but I'm sure Nikki.
Ndongo's gonna be asleep. Ndongo's gonna be
No.
asleep. He's not gonna be conscious. The Charlos are gonna be on some is he okay shit. Watching it at home on TV.
Is he okay though?
Yeah. That sucks for for Pro Boy stuff, not to just because nobody's going to care about Ndongo, whereas if you fucking sleep Postal, people are actually going to give you some props.
Right. Yeah. Progray's the man. Like, he's the only guy at 140 that I see, be as a 50-50 fight for Mikey Garcia.
It's just unfortunate that his last name sucks so bad, Nikki. It sounds like a penis enlargement pill. Like, when I hear Progress, I just think of, like, Viagra. You know, like, you go to a counter in Mexico, like, can I have some of the Progress, please? Yeah, that one's fine.
You kind of whisper it because you don't want people to hear. Yeah, you
yeah, exactly.
You need that program.
That's that program.
Yeah, can I get that one? Yeah, the one on the left. Thanks.
Stu, you got anything else for us?
Yeah, just last thing, man. Just Anthony Joshua's going to lose against Parker. You heard
oh, Lord.
Oh, my God.
You heard it here first.
You're crazy, bro.
Put your money
Explain yourself, Lewis. Explain
Burger
yourself.
King, baby.
I mean, Joseph Parker, like, the common opponent is Takum, right? If you watch Takum Joshua, right, Joshua has life and death with Takum, right, up until the stoppage. He's actually in deep water. So if you watch Joseph Parker against Takum, I even said at the time I watched that fight, I says that's a draw. Like, I scored that fight a draw. Parker got the decision, the hometown, I'm not going to say robbery, but he got a favour.
Takum versus AJ wasn't life and death. Yes, I agree. It wasn't AJ's greatest performance, but did you see Joseph Parker versus Hughie Fury?
No.
I think watch that fight, and then we'll talk about you changing your mind in the next show.
Fury's a good fighter.
Yeah, bro, you couldn't pin him down. He was just wild. He couldn't fucking hit a straight shot to save his life. It was terrible.
To be fair, though, Fury and Joshua fight nothing alike.
No, that's not my point. My point was that you can't land a clean shot on a dude, man. Fair enough, AJ's going to be standing in front of you, but he's not going to be letting you take a free shot. He's going to have his hands up. If you throw wild shit like that, AJ's going to counter you, man.
I definitely think, listen, I'm not hating on...
Man, I'm with you, yo. Like, Parker's going to knock Anthony Joshua out.
Nah,
that chin is ready to be...
You sound like you're sarcastic, though. You really would
No, that chin is ready to be snatched.
Oh, shit.
I think that's it. I'm picking Parker. Like, I'm telling that right now. It's a 50-50 fight. It's a lot closer than what people are saying. I think people are just assuming that Joshua's going to knock him out. No, because like Parker's like not that small. He's like 6'4". He's got speed. He's got combinations. I noticed already that Anthony Joshua's not going to be as heavy as what he was in previous fights. I think he's got the message. Like, you're too
muscle bound.
It's like he was earlier on in his career, and then he kind of got lighter again.
Yeah.
Then he got muscle bound again. So I think maybe the penny's dropped. Who knows? But I mean, if Anthony Joshua does win, you know, all credit in the world, because I do think it's a 50-50 fight. Like, and I give him respect for taking on the Parker fight, but you know, like, Parker's a live dog. Like, I think he's got a chance to knock him out.
Anything else you want to talk about, you?
And Lomachenko, like, beast as always. Although, like, I listened to the podcast, and you know, Nyota hates Lomachenko. Like, is it Berchelt? Is better than Lomachenko? Berchelt? Come on, Nyota.
Better wins.
But nah, you can't say that.
Who would you like to see Lomachenko fight this year?
Mikey Garcia, Gamboa.
Gamboa?
Yeah, why not?
That's a shit fight.
Because Capo was washed, bro.
He rocked Crawford.
Many years ago.
Yeah, I know a lot of people rock Crawford though. His defense is leaky.
He sent him back
Especially
to
in the beginning.
Nebraska.
Well, they fought in Nebraska, so it wasn't a very far distance to go back, but
He sent him out to dinner for a hot dog. Man.
Alright, who else?
Millionaire who's like Crawford's biggest fan.
Would you like
Warren Buffett.
would you like Lomachenko versus Linares?
Yes, I agree with Dan actually. Like I like Linares, but is Linares going to win? No,
I think it's a good fight though.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I'd like to see Garcia.
Yeah, but Garcia's fighting Lipinets, bro.
Won't happen. Bob Arum's not going to let Lomachenko lose to Garcia.
Yeah, I mean, he's better than everyone. He's got the same problem that Roy Jones had, and that everybody that you say could fight him, you know what the result's going to be.
Oh, I wouldn't mind watching
Ryan Garcia.
Apparently they spar, and apparently Ryan Garcia does really well.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that's the word in the street.
Jeez.
Which street?
In the gyms? You in the gyms too?
I thought that stock market exchange.
Not as much as Daniel Lim or KH, but
yeah, bro.
Sources.
The sources. Yeah, yep. So, Chu, what's your overall take on just boxing in general, man? Like, have you been more of a casual in the past year?
Are we trying to break the record for the show tonight?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, your take on 2017. Did you enjoy 2017? Did you think it was a good year in boxing?
Not really. I'm quite sad. about HBO. Like, I just saw the Matisse was the Thai guy's name.
The Thai fighter, yeah.
The guy keeps changing his name as well.
Captain Cap.
Cap, yep. And it's just like, what's boxing became?
Cap just means thank you in Thai, by the way. It's not his name.
That's why I was cracking
up. It's like if a fighter was named Thank You. So, I don't know.
It should be called Thank You because that was a gift that he gave Matisse. That was like the ghost of Matisse.
But that is true though. I don't understand with HBO's budget. I completely understand them not wanting to do fights. But if you're going to do a couple of fights a year, why the fuck would you televise that fight, that card? Like, is it under their contract that with Golden Boy, or was it like a Canelo part of the Canelo contract? Like,
probably.
That is crazy to me.
Because it seems like the main fights that have been on HBO lately is Golden Boy, main events, and some collection of other random fights.
Interesting.
It's like, can you remember a couple of years ago when we were started and all we were talking about was HBO Showtime, and it was like this big rivalry, and who won that? Well, Showtime.
Well, yeah, they won it, but HBO they don't care, man. I think HBO had a really good year last year just with their TV shows. So, boxing unfortunately just doesn't bring in the money.
HBO missed an opportunity with the World Boxing Super Series, man. That shit is blowing up.
But it kind of does make sense though, man. If you're HBO, like, just invest on the huge pay-per-view cards, fights, and if you have to show a couple of shitty Golden Boy cards every now and then, hey, take the losses. Yeah,
but it used to be like how many? I'm not a subscriber to HBO. I'm like American.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you even be a subscriber if you wanted to be?
Yeah, like I could subscribe to Steam and
he has those backroom password deals.
Secrecy I've got here, but
he just sends like an envelope, like a $10 check to HBO's offices in New York every month. He's like, please take my money.
This is for that stream that I watched the other day. There you go.
Fucking screenshot the streams and shit.
Jim Lampley's got like an abused woman Patreon thing.
What? What did you say?
Like an abused woman Patreon.
What? It's called Me Too, the Me Too movement?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather hears that you have a Bentley. He says, like, yeah, me too.
All right, I'm jumping in now.
No, Cam, why?
Because it's late. It's like 2 a.m. in the UK, man. You're okay.
Just give us 10 more minutes, please.
No, man.
I'm okay. I'm
Just
all right,
10
man.
minutes.
Are you okay?
10 minutes, and then we'll cut it off.
All right, 10 minutes start from now.
Alright.
He stopped me like Chris Eubank Sr. Jumping in the ring.
Cam's
Yeah,
being very
so-
mindful.
Fights that you want to see in 2018, too? Other than the ones that we kind of mentioned with Loma, Canelo.
So I'd like to see, it's not going to happen, but Spence Crawford. Or Foreman Spence.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go division to division. I would like to see.
Would you rather see Joshua versus, I mean, this is based on a huge hypothetical, but would you rather see Joshua versus Fury or Joshua versus Wilder? With the expectation that Fury looks,
I'd like to see Fury
somewhat.
Joshua.
Okay.
So I do think actually if Fury gets his act together, I think that would be a more interesting fight.
Who are you favoring in Joshua Wilder?
Joshua.
Hmm.
You know, because I'm saying that Parker's got a real good chance against Joshua, but I don't think Wilder's got any chance.
Interesting.
Although I think Wilder would beat Parker. I don't know why. I just criticised him so much. But, my boy Josh Taylor, I think if anyone can beat Lomachenko, it's Josh Taylor.
Oh. Yeah? How come?
In the future.
Why? When Lomachenko's 50?
No, man. Like,
I mean, that's not that crazy of a take. I mean, Lomachenko is 2 weight divisions smaller than Taylor, so, it's not that crazy of a take, but yeah.
I'm talking talent-wise.
I don't think Taylor will be at one
Talent?
that long.
You think, wait, are you saying that Taylor's more talented than Loma?
No, he's all of
Taylor's I think Taylor's talented enough to make his size count against.
I see.
That's where he would be.
Gotcha.
He's got the speed.
That is.
He's got the.
But does he have the power though?
IQ. Yes.
Does he have the power? Huh.
Yes.
I mean, he does have a mean body shot. I will give you that, but I don't know.
I'll get some stick for saying that. But
you won't, because they're never going to fight.
Why not?
I don't know, man. It's just won't. I don't know.
Depends on how dangerous Taylor looks in the future.
Or how big he gets. I mean, he needs to, I don't know, become more mainstream. Because he's a really good prospect.
I think Taylor will be at 47 very soon.
Taylor?
Yep.
But, I mean, you know what? You know the crazy thing about boxing is, though? Like, we mentioned how big Taylor is, and I agree. But then at the same time, if he moves up to 47, I think he's going to be so undersized against Spence. So it just keeps going. It never ends.
Yep.
It's like Brooke was huge at 47, and then he goes up to 54, and he's going to be small as fuck against the Charlos, or fucking even her, even Laura, so. You gotta make it count.
Some of that too is about, height versus weight. Spence isn't a very particularly tall person. He's very just strong and stocky.
Yeah.
That reminds me, one last fight, right? Hey Bellew. I forgot about it. I've been wanting to talk about this fight.
Yeah, on Dave TV. How can I subscribe to Dave TV, Chew? Can I send them $10 per month, like the brown sugar app?
See if you get a VPN and then change the VPN to the UK.
Yeah.
What will happen is you'll get an alert coming through at the top. Like boxing scenes got loads of adverts. Every time you click on boxing scene, you get a pop-up.
Yeah.
Something like that. You get that for Dave every time you click on VPN.
And then they ban you for life?
And then they ban you for life, yeah.
What kind of shows, what kind of programming do they show on Dave TV? Other than boxing, like is it like a bunch of for some reason, as stupid as it sounds, I just expect them to have like a bunch of different sitcoms with like the main character being Dave in all of them.
He Bellew the story so far.
Dave, hey.
All right, man.
Actually,
anything else, sure?
On on a similar
Maybe
line.
maybe Dave TV will pick up the RC's rights. David Benavidez, you know.
Why would anyone pay for that?
Because Dave.
They would give it away for free.
It's Dave, man.
So everybody called Dave.
Everyone sound tired now. Let's call it a night, boys. Lewis, it's been a pleasure catching up with you, brother.
Right, man. Hopefully I'll be back next month.
No, we probably won't be on for probably another 3 months. So try to be available sometime in May for the Canelo preview show.
I disagree.
That's a lie. We'll be back probably before the Quigg versus Valdez fight. So, Lim, thank you. Naota also, Leon and Tom who were on earlier. Thank you to.
I could tell Cam was so pissed off saying thank you to him. He was just like, "God, this fucking cunt."
Why do you always cut me off, man? Why do you always cut me off?
it's just banter, mate.
Show some respect.
The bants. My bad. I am supposed to show respect for the elders. Sorry, Cam.
Thank you to all the people in the chat and all the people that download the show week in, week out. We'll be back next month. Peace.
Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
Oh, dude, man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the number one flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically burn you, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the show, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos a Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in him.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
Feels great. Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass. Just to play devil's advocate. You want one portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish.
Fringe side?
But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you?
He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weighed for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition.